Welcome into Boxing Scene today. That's right. We're live for the next couple of hours. Join us on YouTube. Join the discussion. Give us a chat. Maybe we'll talk about whatever you're talking about on the air. And there's a lot to talk about. We made it to Friday. But Jaron Boots Ennis, of course, hoping we can get a showdown between him and Virgil Ortiz Jr. A lot of out-of-ring issues with that fight. But a little added spice here. Devin Haney, in a resurfaced interview, calls Boots Ennis a nobody. Says, I tried to fight him at 147 pounds. He was moving up to 54. He's a great fighter, but he's not a star. What does star power mean? And does Jaron Boots Ennis have it? Jimmy Smith alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. We talked about this. Paul, I don't know if you were in the room when we were discussing. I know you had a doctor's appointment yesterday, having things checked out. The idea, Chris, that Ennis is one of those guys, incredibly talented, doesn't have a title at 54. Talented, strong, great fighter. Does he need the belt? Because he doesn't have, as Danny put it, star power right now.
Well, he doesn't. I mean, he's very well known, but there's a big gap between nobody and star. Yep. And, Boots is not a nobody, and he's not necessarily a star in the public image where he's a crossover type guy. And we've talked about that on our air. His profile doesn't match his skill set, which plagues a lot of fighters, especially earlier on in their career, although Boots has been around for a long time. But everybody knows who Boots is. I'm in the gyms, I travel, I'm at fight weeks. You cannot not bring up Boots.
Okay, but outside of the niche sport.
Right.
We're a niche sport.
But that's exactly what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
In terms of the crossover appeal, it's not there.
Because
He's
people,
not a star.
outside of the niche, people know who Haney is, Javante is.
Because they're stars.
Usyk, yeah.
But he's not
Joshua.
but he's not a nobody.
No, he's not a nobody because within the business, he has a big presence. Yeah.
Is it better, though, in a sense, to be more vulnerable if you're not going to have a name? Like, he's almost too good. He doesn't have a name, doesn't have a title, makes him more avoidable than someone who might not be as good but has a bigger name. Like, is there a sweet spot that he's just not in? Is he in the anti-sweet spot at 154?
I don't think there's any question about it being almost. That's definitely the problem.
Yeah.
He's way too dangerous. If you don't, he's one of those guys. If you don't have a title, like, why are you going to see him? It's almost it's not the same, but a Murtazaliev type guy. Like he's a really rough out. When he had a title, it's like, okay, we could see him. Guys still avoided him. Josh Kelly toppled him, obviously, but we're not going to see him around anymore. He's a dangerous guy. He's still a dangerous guy. And Boots is dangerous in his prime and doesn't have a title, which is wild to think. The guy keeps getting looked over, is always on the outside looking in. But I mean, there is some credence to what Haney is saying. He's not the profile match of the guys that Haney is talking about, who Haney is. But his skill level is absolutely there.
You know what it is too. When you're that dangerous, you have to bring a lot of money to the table in order for people to take a chance on you. You bring good money to the table because you're a high level fighter, and there's always good money at high level fights. But there's not that super duper money. Like for example, Canelo can fight anybody he wants because there's always enough money on the table, no matter how good or how not good he might be. Guys like remember Golovkin back in the day, Bitterbiev. Now Ennis is having this problem. There's
too good for their own good.
Crawford even had this problem to a degree at welterweight when he wasn't in the circle of trust of PBC. So, sometimes you're so good, but the market value has to increase as well. You bring money, but the kind of money you need to bring in order to draw people to face such a dangerous opponent. There's dangerous opponents everywhere there, but you're dangerous you're considered dangerous even among the dangerous. And
so, to the same token, shouldn't we give Virgil even more credit for going after
he deserves all the credit.
We're not even surprised. The guy's been chasing tough fights before that too. When he fought Bohocuk, the prospect of fighting Bohocuk at that moment was very difficult.
Terrifying.
Dreamov as well, So I'm not surprised if Virgil would have fought Jaron Ennis.
Not that it's surprising, but I think we should give him all the credit in the world, like Jimmy said.
Yeah.
All right, but let's break down two things that a lot of fighters don't have that he has that doesn't seem to help him. He was a champion at 47. So he was a champ in a storied weight class. We always think of the welterweight champion as kind of the jewel of boxing. It's, last couple of years, it's building up right now. So he's a champ at 147, and he does sell in Philadelphia. He does have an area in which he sells. We were talking about with Breadman yesterday about it. Philly will come out for Boots. It's got to be the right kind of fight. They'll come out for Boots. So he does have decent ticket selling local, and he was a champion. Why isn't that enough?
But Bread makes a great point too. He's never been the guy in his stable either, as far as the promoter wanting. For example, at welterweight, he's a big profile. He's a big name. He's possibly at the best welterweight in the world at the time. He was in the welterweight division, especially once everybody left. He was without a doubt the best welterweight in the world, but couldn't get really a high profile fight. And
not for trying. He was calling out the Crawfords and Spences.
And Matchroom had Ben. You could catapult Ben's popularity, because Ben's popularity is the opposite. Ben's popularity doesn't match how good he is, or how lack of good
his
he
skill
is.
doesn't match his
popularity. He's got the opposite. It's the opposite issue of with Ennis. So Matchroom could have easily let me propel this guy who's got a championship pedigree. Let me use this guy's popularity to propel this guy who's got a championship pedigree, and then sort of turn that star power over. Instead, they wanted to, continue to milk the Conor Ben train, which, I guess worked out.
Well, it did work.
Worked out for him until it didn't work out. But, there were opportunities for Ennis with his team to be put into that mix.
Even
at PBC, man. Let's be honest. He was in PBC when there was a ton of top welterweights in the PBC era of the welterweight division, and he couldn't get any of those fights too.
Barrios,
he couldn't get any of those fights. So I mean, he's also not been treated as the ace that he is by the promotional teams that he's had either,
And again, he's still not, because he has the Josh Kelly fight could easily be made, and they're obviously looking.
We thought that's exactly where they were going. It looks like it's Sandor Zayas.
Yeah. So it's also a problematic thing with internal politics.
The hard part, and you hear this a lot of times when people griping about promoters, they're great until they have to promote. I've heard that a million times. Like, yeah, promoters are great until they have to promote. All right, I'm knocking people out. I'm looking devastating doing it. All right, you saw what he did to Stanionis. He looked absolutely fantastic. What else do you want from me? It's kind of up to you to promote, I guess.
Put you in the position.
Yeah, it wasn't Olympic gold medalist.
Because it's not really. Promoters don't ever promote. They're again, like I said yesterday, they're booking agents. They're not really promoters. But you got to book the guy for bigger fights if he keeps dominating, if he keeps doing well. That they don't. It's not even about promoters are great until they have to promote. Promoters have to book fights. That's really what they are. You got to keep booking Ennis in a bigger and bigger profile fight if he keeps dominating, and they're not doing that. Nobody signed with has been doing that for him.
But to defend, which I never like to do, defend promoters and defend Eddie. Eddie did do a big rollout when they first signed Boots, and they were getting him fights in Philly. They brought him home. They built his profile there, and they gave him the Chukadzian fight. And remember, Eddie came in the ring afterwards, and Eddie was he's dying for that performance from Boots where he can go, I have the best fighter in the world. It came with Stanionis, but he had that Karen Chukadzian performance where we were all like, what the hell was that?
But why are we going to put him under the microscope and not anybody else? Ben, after he failed the drug test and he came back and he looked dull in Orlando,
he looked dull twice in a row.
So what? That's forgiven, but Ennis is not forgiven for Chukadzian? Come on. Well, Ennis is a higher level
because there's favoritism. We know that. Yeah. There's no question about that.
Set that standard.
Yeah, no. I totally agree with you, Paulie, that we put certain fighters or their performances under a microscope. Still won, still wasn't close. Right? It's this idea that still won, still did what he had to do.
Would Chukadzian beat Ben? Could Chukadzian beat Ben?
Yes.
Yes. That's what I mean. You're worried about Ennis not looking good against Chukadzian, but Chukadzian would beat Ben.
You know who else got this treatment to a degree was Teofimo. Like, he fought a lot of tough guys, and then he quote unquote underperformed because of his expectation for his potential, and he got raked over the coals. Teo kept putting himself in positions though, and which is why he's been able to get the big fights. But yeah, no, listen, it's not a single tiered system. It's a multi-tiered system based on your popularity, based on the relationship that you have with your promoter. There's favoritism, of course, which we've been discussing all week. But yeah, no, it's a shame because I think the public is not getting to see Boots in his prime at the best.
Is the public smart enough to read between the lines of what you're explaining?
There's so much going on. They don't stick to it. If you're a diehard Boots fan, which there's a lot of them, they are like, man, why is my man Boots not getting his opportunity? But for the rest of the world, everything keeps moving. Everything keeps moving in the sport, especially lately.
Well, let's break it down just a little bit because, of course, the obvious question is Devin Haney versus Boots at some point, a possibility. What does Devin Haney have?
But how many weight classes do you want Devin Haney to go up?
Right, exactly.
Boots is going to 54, maybe even 60 eventually.
And he's a strong 54.
Haney started lightweight. I don't know how much more the Haney's really going to go up.
Right. But when you look at, for example, let's just break this down for 1 second. Haney's style, excellent boxer, isn't that aesthetic necessarily. Like, it's technically very, very good. Not known as, like, if you were to show somebody who wasn't a boxing fan a fight, wouldn't necessarily be Devin Haney, right? Because he can knock you down. Not necessarily a power puncher, very, very slick, good fundamentals, great boxer. And you look at Boots, for example, his style I think is more aesthetic. I think he's a little bit more aggressive. So
he's a Philadelphia.
Right? Why is Haney
also a puncher?
Why is Haney a crossover, as you point out, and Boots isn't? If you want to make that comparison, please.
Brilliant marketing.
Yeah, there's also There's also the it factor too, and some of that it factor with Haney comes into play with Bill Haney. You know, he's a bit of a character, and he creates that little bit of controversy around Devin. Also, Devin has gotten some of the profile fights that were necessary and needed. You know,
but also, we're not knocking Devin at all. I think Devin's
fantastic fighter,
super world class, but he's a more nuanced style. Like you said, you have to know what you're looking at to really appreciate
how good he is. Yeah.
To appreciate how good he is and what he does in there. Where Boots, you just like you always say. Oh, my mom knows like you show your mom a Boots fight, she's gonna be like,
look at what Devin did on the way up though.
Love you, Mom.
He took a lot of faded champions and beat them and added them to the resume, and that looks good on your record as far as he beat this champion, he beat this champion. Does Ennis have any of those faded champions just to have names on his record? He doesn't really have that, and that also helps. That also helps you get notoriety. If you look at the Devin Haney thing, it used to drive me nuts. I thought Devin was avoiding fights, but in reality, it was actually building the profile correctly because now he's taking the chances. So when I look back, I'm like, damn. I was like, that actually, I learned something in watching that shoot. I wish somebody would have done that for me, man. They just threw me in. They just threw me in with everybody in their prime.
Bill, great job. Yeah. Bill Haney, fantastic job.
Yeah, but to go back to that point. That also makes a difference. Haney built on name recognition, wins over name recognition, even if they were faded.
JoJo.
Yeah, Gamboa, right?
Gamboa, yeah.
Does Ennis have any guys like that on his record that you can say, he fought this guy? Even if they're old, looking back, when you look at a resume, you're like, it gets them a little bit of notoriety, as they rise up to the level, And it's never got any of those fights. And he couldn't even get the poor guy couldn't even get the faded welterweight champions. He couldn't get anybody, like literally, right? He did he get any of it? He didn't get any of that, and that also helps in marketing and promoting you on the way up.
He got the guys like Delorme. He got
what is that?
Chris Van Heerden.
Van Heerden's actually, I think, better than he gets credit for. He just always got match tough too. But again, it's not because he doesn't get credit either.
Well, so if you look at Virgil too, who also fought a lot of we talked about this name dangerous guys early on, the Mauricio Herreras of the world. Delorme was another. I think he got Delorme as well. But there was who were some other guys like he fought some tough guys at 47 that he was just way too big for and blew through them. Some of those names will pop out, but yeah, I'm trying to think about Ennis in terms of who he had. In those builder years, it's not a lot of recognizable names, not like the way like Haney did. Haney, they followed the script of what you're supposed to do. If you have
and the timing of it.
Yes, if you have the endless opportunity and bankroll to pick and choose how to develop a fighter.
Yeah,
Devin,
and you know how to do it. And you got to have the bankroll and know how to do it.
But on top of it, but also you got to be able to fight. Devin could really
of course.
Fight. So Bill not only believed in his ability to move him,
the fighter little by little. Right, you'd also in those fights they get a little better. They get a little better.
When he got rocked by Linares, like that's an experience. Now you know how to right the ship and win the next round.
Southpaw and JoJo, right? And again, some of the faded.
That in hindsight, that JoJo wins pretty good if you think about it. JoJo's still going.
JoJo still got it.
Still got it. Well, speaking of somebody who's still got it, doing their best work right now, and also some controversial opinions. I love it. Claressa Shields asked about fighting a man. She said, "I would beat Rolly Romero," quote, and this is it, "I'll beat Rolly, and he's a world champion." This was on the Justin LeBoy show. Listen, I think Rolly is an unorthodox, very strong, but I'm way taller than him, way longer than him, and I got better skills. He can't beat me in a fight. I love it. By the way, Claressa, I love this. Claressa keep going with
grabs headlines.
Yes. Dude, so good at
Rolly would knock her block off, but you know what? I get it, and I praise the
balls.
The self-belief.
No, it's not about balls. It's not the fight is never going to happen. So it's not about balls.
The marketing.
It's about the what's the word? Clickbait. I praise the ability to get that clickbait.
It's also a little rage baity too. It's a little rage bait.
Yeah, because people are going to react to it. People are going to throw their arms up in the air. Keeps her in the conversation. Whatever. I mean,
if it gets hate and love, it's great. She's going to get a lot.
The only way to beat Rolly, unless you're supremely phenomenal. And I still don't think even that's an easy fight. Is to back him up.
You also got to be able to punch. He's only lost to like real.
Yeah, punches. You got, but backing him up. Some of that is a lot of times punchers will back you up. Yeah. You can outbox Rolly. I think Haney would outbox Rolly, but I don't think it's as easy of a fight stylistically as maybe Pitbull made it look like, because Pitbull is just a completely back you up guy. Yeah. So I think my pick would be Haney to beat Rolly, but I don't think he would do it as easily as Pitbull beats Rolly. And boxing math doesn't add up, because Haney would beat Pitbull every second of every round, right? So boxing math doesn't add up. But even from the perspective of guy to girl. Right? She doesn't fight in a way where she doesn't fight in a manner where Rolly would have trouble.
3 knockouts and 17 wins.
Yeah, but she can box a little bit. Only wrong. For a woman, she boxes very well, actually.
I think she boxes well for anybody.
Her boxing skills.
Now she's a little wide with her shots, though.
Did you watch her last week? She was the best I've ever seen her by far.
Like
her balance was way better.
When she got dropped, she's a great boxer.
So
when she got dropped.
Wait. So the boxing math. I know you said like it doesn't work, but I'm gonna use it right now because
don't go there. You're the one who says boxing math don't work.
I'm gonna say it anyway. That's what we're talking about. We're saying boxing math doesn't work.
Right.
The guy who dropped her, Rolly knocked out in 2 rounds.
All right.
And it's funny. You know what's funny? That this is what I love about Clarissa because you said she grabs headlines. Rolly tweeted at her. This was years ago, and when this went down, he tweeted at her. No, and he goes, I got him for you.
Oh.
and she took that and goes, I whoop your ass too.
But you know what? Great. I don't mind the clickbait.
It's great.
Kirsten's doing a great job
because she can fight her ass off.
Yes.
But if you look at that little clip of her getting knocked down, they throw the same exact combination.
Yeah, he just threw a tighter.
But a 6-2 fighter threw 6-2 male fighter.
No, at the time he was amateur. He wasn't even.
He was okay. 6-2 amateur who wound up being a 6-2 pro, so he didn't go anywhere.
By the way, a guy I've sparred with.
Okay, another guy you sparred with, of course.
Who haven't you sparred with?
Clarissa.
Let me finish, guys. Let me finish. I'm trying to make a point here. See, a 6-2 guy, the guy who wanted to be 6'2" as a pro, against a female Olympic gold medalist. They threw the same exact combination at the same exact time. The reason he drops her is because he's tighter with his punches. Okay, so again, we have to establish that if you look at that clip when she goes down, the only thing, I don't take a lot out of it, but you take something very key out of it, though, even if you don't take a lot out of it. They're throwing the same exact punches at this, and they pull the trigger at the same exact time. His hook lands first because he's tighter with the combination.
Right. Also,
now, unpopular opinion: the difference between male boxing and female boxing.
The level, the all-around level is higher.
He's tighter, and he wound up being 6-2. So that standard is at a low level at male boxing. You gotta be tight with your punches regardless. Females are still, the level is going up.
He was also like a relatively small 35-pounder.
Yeah, he was. But having said that, if you look at Clarissa's overall creativity with the females, she's got a ton more creativity, a ton better shot selection, and an ability to outthink all her opponents as well, and better athleticism. So she is, for me, the best of the females I've seen.
Her gas tank is also phenomenal. Really,
she knows how to control the pace too.
When
she knows how to up the action when she has to, but she knows how to control the breathing.
But I think that's also what got her in trouble even in that sparring session.
But is
getting too aggressive,
stepping too aggressive. But an athletic fighter also knows how to control the pace. That's part of being an athletic fighter, and she has that athleticism to box in that way.
But you see a lot of women late in fights really start to gas. You don't see that with Clarissa.
Because she knows how to control it.
Okay, well, a lot of women don't. I'm just saying, showing her level.
One of the best sparring stories I heard. Chris Cyborg, if you know her, combat sports all around. She's done boxing, kickboxing, MMA. I was down in San Diego, and she was training with Alliance down there. And I was talking to guys who spar with her, and they were like, about a minute in, you go, dude, I'm gonna fight. She's shootbox trained back in Brazil. She goes go. And I've heard of these are name. I'm not gonna out any names here, but name guys were like,
I gotta hit her. Yeah.
I had to, boom, like drop and back her off me, like
And for the record, Chris Cyborg and Clarissa sparred in boxing, and they looked awesome. It was really good. Chris Cyborg can really box. Yeah, very impressive.
And she's strong. It's unreal what she can take. So, but it's this idea of even like I don't want to like she's a bad spar. She goes hard in sparring. She's a little like hey, like I had to like check her to be like, okay, are we sparring or do you want me to check you? And she goes,
guys will
old school shootbox mentality.
Well, guys will typically spar hard with each other, but with girls sometimes we want to back off.
But Chris doesn't allow that.
Who might kick the crap out of you if you don't up the level a little bit. Yeah, you got to put.
I heard that from
a lot of females, especially in higher weight classes, are forced to spar with men a lot. Michaela Mayer is another one. She spars with a lot of guys because she has to. There's not a lot of girls at her level. I mean, she's in terms of girls that are 150 pounds, she's the best in the world. So where do you get sparring? You're basically going to be sparring your opponents who you're fighting soon. So they do end up sparring with a lot of men.
Yeah. I was in France doing Savat, and it was the TV show for Discovery Channel. They put a female, they called Savateurs, in there with me. They thought it would be funny or something. Like Bruce was like, "Oh, it'd be funny." And I'm like, sparring to me.
Yeah, we got to spar. Yeah.
Like she threw. Dude,
you're not whipping my ass on TV.
She threw a wheel kick at me right in the beginning. Wheel kick, and I hit her with a jab, bing, and snapped her head back. And the director goes, and I go, sparring, dude. And I didn't hit her as hard as I could. She's not big, but I was like, think. I hit her, and it wasn't
Yeah.
funny. It's like, dude, I've sparred with plenty of women. Like,
because if that wheel kick hits you,
she threw a wheel kick zoom fast.
Because they know how to do it. So,
well, offensively, yeah, especially with kicks involved, and that's why female MMA you see a lot more knockouts. Kicks level the playing field a lot.
As a casual MMA fan, I think of Holly Holm and
kicking
Rousey,
around his head off. Yeah.
That was a badass kick.
Dude. Set up with great punches and footwork.
Exactly. So
Holly is a world champion in multiple sports. Yes.
Keep those hands up. She's a fantastic athlete as well. Got a super chat here. Matt Borgeson. I think Rolly gets seriously disrespected by the Pitbull performance. He was winning the fight with effective boxing until the ref took away a point for holding when it was an effective strategy. That's another good point as well.
Well, he was winning the fight with Gervonta. You were as you alluded to a couple days ago, which he was. He actually was boxing very, very smart in that fight, and then just got caught getting countered, being too aggressive as usual. The Cruz fight, it's not super fresh in my mind, but
I have to rewatch it.
I remember watching it. He wasn't in that fight very, very much.
Yeah, he was uncomfortable at some point because but I'll tell you. First of all, shout out to Matt Borgeson. He's in our chats
always
a
great
lot.
super chats, man. Appreciate you, man.
He's basically part of the show.
Yeah,
yes, at this point.
Here's Matt.
Yeah, but yeah,
Matt, we're gonna get you a chair soon, bro.
Seriously, bro.
I also think that Rolly gets a bad rap. Honestly, I think he gets.
You know what? You
know who sucks? Mario Barrios sucks, not Rolly Romero.
Where's my water?
You turned me around on Barrios. Because you were always singing his praises, and I'm like, I don't
Barrios.
No, Rolly, excuse me.
Don't mistake Rolly and Barrios, please.
Because you yell this guy's name so much. Every time I talk to you, I feel like I got to say this. Anyway, so you were very adamant about Rollies for a long time, and I was like, I don't really see it, but he's turned out to be top notch.
All right, so another big signing right up your alley, Paulie. Get ready. BKB has signed Victor Ortiz, obviously superstar crossover guy, the Expendables, outstanding fighter, been signed by BKB. Multi-fight deal. Looks like he will be making his debut. Looks like May. Paulie, you fought for BKB. Mm-hmm. Fantastic performance last time, by the way.
For BKB. You have a fight coming up in May.
Fight coming up in May. No, his is summer. Yours is in May. What's your thought on his signing? What that means for BKB? The excitement level?
I'll tell you what. For me,
right up your alley, dude.
For me, I've noticed a little trend in the world of bare knuckle. I'm noticing that BKFC hedges more towards former UFC fighters. And BKB, I guess because of the roots being in England, the original BKB was in England, they're more hedging towards former pro boxers. You know, obviously there's a combination of both in both promotions, both BKFC and BKB. But you can see BKB making the effort to sign these former star pro boxers. BKB has recently not just signed Victor, obviously signed me, Yuriorkis Gamboa, Lee Selby as well. And you remember BKFC made a big name off themselves. Yes, I followed BKFC one fight, but mostly they made a big name for themselves, signing guys like Eddie Alvarez,
Mike Perry,
and guys that were names in the UFC.
Who made really fun fights.
Chad Mendez, I think, as well.
Chad Mendez.
Yep.
And then even the girl, what's her name? The hot chick, what's her name? Come on, guys, you guys know.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a local from
here,
actually.
Her name is just totally escaping me now. Paige Van Zandt.
Thank
you. I was like,
I almost said Kat Zingano.
Yes, I go by Rolodex. Paige Van Zandt.
So they've made their sort of set their standard with UFC.
Brittany Hart too.
Yeah,
she's another one. She's
Brittany Hart. But BKB was goes the former pro boxing champion route, and I think because of the popularity that BKB, the promotion of BKB has in the UK. Either way, both companies are big companies, and they're starting to bring out their pocketbooks, open up their pocketbooks, so to speak, for these fighters. I think Victor is a prominent name to sign. He's been in a Mayweather fight. He's a former world champion. He also, I think, in some ways, he didn't live up to the possible hype that was set before him.
He was supposed to be De La
Victor
Hoya.
Victor was
good looking,
Mexican-American. Had all of the it factors that was there, and it came up a little short. And it just goes to show you the standard that was there for Victor, because he still became a world champion, was in a major fight with Mayweather, and won some very big fights as well.
Maidana as well.
So he fought Maidana, beat Andre Berto.
Dropped Maidana.
Yeah, dropped Maidana.
That Berto fight was amazing.
Yeah.
So the fact that most people would dream of a career like that, but the fact that Victor had that kind of career and so it's a disappointment shows you the standard that was set before Victor. So for Victor, To be a signing for BKB, I think is a big snag. They grabbed a big fish here. You know, I think Victor is a big name. Also, you know, I'm already hearing the rumors of, you know, possibly me and Victor fighting in BKB. It's ironically a fight that could have happened in boxing, because we kind of cross each other's orbits during some years of. Obviously, I turned pro before him, but he was still around at a high level, and I was still hovering around at that high level. Matter of fact, I think he won his world title in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, and I won my second world title in 2012. So there was a time where, you know, we were hovering around one another. Matter of fact, if I'm thinking now, after I lost to Ricky Hatton, Golden Boy actually called the Bell Entertainment looking for an opponent, Victor Ortiz, and asked for me because looked like I was shot down already, you know. And we turned it down because we were looking to rebuild. And I remember they got Mike Arnudis, and he knocked out Mike Arnudis.
Yeah.
And then the next fight, he lost to Chino Maidana, and it just came crumbling down for a little bit before he rebuilt. So Victor was up and down. But in the meantime, you did fight Mike Arnudis as well. In the meantime, I wanted with the Juan Diaz fights, and my career went a different direction, and we never fought, even if we both ended up winning world titles after that. So it's funny because, you know, this is sort of a conversation that's sort of orbiting now. A fight that never happened in boxing maybe happens in BKB.
I think we're going to see a lot of that, actually. Because like you said, the move for BKB to start targeting boxing signings and getting these big names, and there's more and more of these guys coming up. And if you notice, it's guys like our age. It's not like they're not signing guys that are because they're technically retired.
I think that a fighter who's in his prime, if he can accomplish a world-class level in his main sport,
he's not going to
protect his hands, right? Because with BKB, your
face,
hands
cuts take a
cuts. Cuts are
cuts matter a lot more in regular boxing, and you want because scar tissue. Yeah, Mr. Scar Tissue over here. Like you understand?
Yeah, no. I got so used to being cut at this point that
you were good at it.
I don't know. For me, that's I'll take that over a brain hemorrhage.
For the record, guys at home, off camera, Paulie and I compared how many stitches we both had. Paulie doesn't know how many because there's so many.
Yeah,
I've had 6.
Don't judge
6 stitches.
Don't judge him for how many stitches he had because he's had so few.
Yes.
But
judge me by my failure. Yeah, so few.
But go ahead.
But to transition, tell us about your fight, man. How things are going. By the way, he works out next door. There's a fitness place next door. Every time I go by, you're doing your work, man.
It's one of my workouts. You know, I do several workouts a day. I keep them small in duration because us old guys, we got to keep our workouts small in duration. But you know, I do several a day so that I can handle it in the small in duration, and that's how I got myself ready for my previous fight, and that's how I'm getting myself ready for this fight. And it's for the BKB world title, so it's a big opportunity and a big feather in my hat if I could win it. I'm obviously fighting a good fighter, Rolando D, who is a Filipino. Bare knuckle world champion, BKB world champion, whose father, if you guys would look this guy up, was Rolando Navarrete, the Filipino WBC world champion in like the early 80s. He was WBC 130-pound world champion. So Rolando Navarrete is Rolando D's father. So there's a little bit of a backstory here, which is kind of interesting, almost like 6 degrees of separation, you know?
Well, not even that. I think it just shows you that how important boxing is for bare knuckle. And like you talked about the MMA guys who are coming over, I think there's obviously a shift.
But D's father was a boxing world champion, but D actually was a UFC fighter. You know, he didn't come from boxing, you know? So that's the thing about bare knuckle.
Because I always say that too, because everyone always asks me like, "Oh, Chris, you know you were a world champion kickboxer, you were a high level wrestler. How come you didn't go the UFC route?" I just missed it by timing. Yeah. Because if I grew up watching Randy Couture when I was a kid, I probably would have went MMA. But I didn't grow up watching Randy Couture. I grew up watching Mike Tyson, Oscar De La Hoya, and Roy Jones Jr. So I wanted to be a boxer. So for me, there was never. So you got a guy like Rolando D, who grew up probably watching UFC those early days and Pride, and was like, "Yeah, that's where I'm going to go." My dad did it in boxing. Boxing's such a brutal business, and getting in early on MMA at that time is probably a lot smarter and more lucrative. So I think you see that. But also to my point is, because BKB is going BKB, right? I was confused. BKB seems to be targeting more boxers. I think there's going to be a very obvious shift in technique, strategy, and skill level that we're watching in real time with bare knuckle, because it's not a new sport at all. It's actually probably older than boxing, but in terms of what it is now, it's a very new sport, and we are seeing it progress very, very quickly. So from your first fight back in 2019 with Lobov to what you are now, it's a completely different sport. It's completely different.
fights
got guys who are really fighting
Fights
now.
are much more difficult now. Yeah, absolutely.
Also, if you're around the area, you might see me and Paulie in the driveway doing pad work like we did for the last. So we got to get that going again. By the way,
Cham holds some pads for me, helps me out. So a little bit.
Does a little bit of wrestling with Jimmy here. Some
I teach him
work.
the sneaky.
Hey, don't tell him. That would stay in my back pocket.
A
couple of things that I get from my UFC resident here.
And there's a lot of bare knuckle people down here. Jamie Driver is someone that trains out of my gym. She's a multiple-time world champion.
She's in a cast now.
Yeah, she literally broke her forearm. But she'd always tell me, she's like, "Oh, tell Paulie the biggest thing is going to be fighting on the inside, the grabs and the holds and things like that." So it is a very different sport, and it's a whole new technique.
It's
style
boxing, but then it's not boxing.
Yeah, it's dirty boxing, but it's also a little more
nuances.
We'll take a quick break. When we come back, that's right, the big fight preview for the big one coming up on the 21st, right after this.
Saturday, March 21st, ProBox TV invades the NOS Event Center as Lester Martinez and Emmanuel Alim battle for the WBC World Super Middleweight title. Palmdale's Joshua Kevin Anton battles the Uzbeki Punisher. LA is in the house as Anthony Too Quick Cuba defends home turf against Brooklyn's Wesley Farrell, while Sam Contreras takes on Cesar Cantu.
Lester Martinez versus Emmanuel Alim at 168 pounds, WBC interim title on the line. Not just about, of course, the power of Lester Martinez, not about the opportunity in front of him. It's also about Emmanuel Alim and his experience level. To help us break that down, we got Tony Jeter, who's the coach of Emmanuel Alim. Thank you so much for joining us, man. Talk about this challenge and how Alim is getting ready for this fight.
Real quick, I'm the promoter, not the coach.
Close enough for me. How's he getting ready for this fight, man?
Preparing to, sparring, training, whatever, he's been preparing for a long time. Like, I listened to the interview y'all had previous, and, Alim has been on the big stage so many times.
We can hear you.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I want to make sure there's no background.
No problem.
But yeah, Alim's been on the big stage so many times. Y'all were talking about how Lester, he had just fought on the Canelo undercard. That was the first time he had stepped on a big level, like a huge level. And Alim had been there multiple times. He had been at the Barclay, had been at the Patriot Center. He had been in, because another thing y'all had said that Alim had a tough road. He was with PBC when he started. He was with the Paul Williams camp. They actually trained at the gym my wife owned. So Paul Williams would hold his camp, and Alim was a part of that camp. So, go ahead.
So Alim's been around for a while, going back to the Paul Williams days, Tony. That's a vast amount of experience. How do you see his experience playing a factor in this fight? Because obviously he's got way more experience than Lester.
He does. I mean, Lester is tough. Lester is a come forward. He's got a good motor. He's aggressive, but that's what's going to help Alim, because Alim's going to be able to punch in between the exchanges, and Alim's got quick, sharp punches. Good left hook. I mean, that's Keytroff. That's what he knocked Keytroff out with. He's got a good overhand right. So he could punch. He has all the arsenal. And what y'all were saying was completely correct. Both guys, it's like they need to win this. This is a world title fight. It's an interim world title fight. But this is, I mean, Billy just was elevated from intern to world. So this is an incredible opportunity, and but Alim definitely has, he has the skills, the talent. He has a great team too. It's his whole family. Like, his mother's the manager. She does so much. The father is an incredible coach. Like, the father has got, and his brother Moshe, he might have been the most talented out of all of them. I guess he had a loss with Chardell Brooker, who just fought Fundora for the world title. But, so he comes from a fighting family, and that whole family is really squared away. It's gonna be a difficult task for Lester, and I do like Lester. He's got a good style. He's come forward. He's aggressive. sort of like a kamikaze, like I don't really care style. He did. I think he went to the Olympics, right? He was on the Guatemalan Olympic team.
Decorated amateur in Guatemala, Caribbean champion.
Yeah. So, I mean, he's definitely got a ton of experience, but like I said, Aleem has those, he can fight and he knows how to fight in the mix.
Yeah, Tony, you're co-signing everything that we had said about Aleem in prior shows, and Paulie and I, Champ, know much about Aleem. The Kitrov win was big because we're New York guys. I remember Kitrov coming up.
Yeah.
A lot of hype around him. That was a stunning KO. And we've been saying that about Aleem. He has the ability to find those holes. He's very tricky. He sets traps. In fact, I think Champ and I both agree this is probably a more difficult fight than the Christian Mbili fight. He's a little more dangerous. Not necessarily more difficult, but he's more dangerous because he hits you with shots that you don't see. He's very, very crafty. Where does he get that from? Where does he get that IQ from where he's been able to develop this style where he does stay in the pocket? He's not like he's hard to find, but he's in there and he's going to hurt you if you give him an opportunity.
Well, like you were saying, like the Mbili fight, Aleem's going to be so much different because Mbili's right in front of you, all throwing bomb after bomb. Right, straightforward, all, hard punches where Aleem's going to be able to slip, slide. He'll be able to come forward if he needs to. He'll be able to box if he needs to. And like I said, his punches are crisp, sharp, clean. And those are the punches somebody like Lester Martinez, who is like a kamikaze, straightforward, all offense type fighter. You catch that kid in the exchange with a good hook or something, and then the fight, can switch fast. So that I don't know if Mbili. I do feel like Aleem is a dangerous fight, super dangerous. They couldn't have picked a more dangerous guy for a moment like that in Aleem.
When you look at the adjustments Les Martinez made, of course, coached by Bomac, he made adjustments in the Mbili fight, started boxing about halfway through and started really taking those rounds. That's why he ended up getting a draw. Is he going to have to adjust a little bit quicker against Aleem? Because Lester did make adjustments about halfway through the fight, and those rounds early on cost him. Is he going to have to make adjustments earlier against Aleem because of Aleem's skill set, as you just said?
I thought Lester actually pulled ahead of Mbili, but they did a 10-round fight. It was crazy how they did that. I thought Lester had pulled it out at the end, but it's going to be a totally different fight. Mbili is a straightforward, like aggressive. Most of his fights are by knockout. Aleem going to be a little bit different, but like I was saying earlier, Aleem's been on this big stage so many times. Like he's been in front of 15,000, 16,000, where I think Lester's only had it one time. We've promoted Aleem for the last 5 fights. He was with PBC, and we've had him for the last 5 fights. All 5 fights I've had him have been at Live Casino and Hotel in Hanover, where y'all been the last couple times. Mm-hmm. So he's sort of been on the same level that Lester's been on, minus the Canelo fight. For the last 5 fights. So I feel like Aleem is beyond ready. And we don't have tomorrow. He has to get it that day. He has to be on point.
Well, Tony, you mentioned it's a good point. You don't have tomorrow. I think with both guys, it's a very important moment in their careers. You also mentioned the pro experience, the big fight pro experience Aleem has. This fight, obviously the experience helps him, but this fight gets added to all the other experiences. How much more, how much more important is this one? Is it because he's now getting a little older and he's got to make it happen? Is this the most difficult step up for Aleem?
Well, I feel like the moment he's fighting for the interim title. I mean, these are life-changing moments. Like more importantly, I mean, 32, 33 in today's sport is different than 20 years ago, just with supplements, training, and everything. Like guys are, but the moment itself, moment may never come around again. So this is a moment he has to take full advantage of. And I feel like the same thing for Lester. And like I was saying earlier, not an easy fight for Lester. And
Tony, talk to us about how Aleem is in the gym, like in terms of what kind of guy is he, his discipline level, his putting in the extra work. What kind of guy is he in the gym? Is he one of those super talented guys who kind of just shows up and just is on, or is he a guy that's sleeping in the gym and a real gym rat? Because we don't know him. The fans don't know him personally like that.
Yeah, no, he's an incredible, he's an athlete. I mean, y'all have seen him fight multiple times with the Keytroff and so many of them fights. In the gym, I feel like fighters in the gym, a lot of guys do better in the gym because the spotlight's not on them. They don't have 15,000, but Aleem has been an incredible guy. I'll give you a little story, and I won't tell the name, but we had this guy who was getting ready for a Top Rank show. He was the main event on Top Rank, and 2 weeks prior to them fighting on Top Rank, main event, big fight. This kid was a national Gold Glove champion, and he came into my gym because Aleem trained at my gym my wife's gym for a long time. And Aleem caught this kid 2 weeks out from his big fight, knocked him slam out in the gym, and everybody was like, "Holy crap!" Bad that day. It was a bad look for that guy because he had a fight in 2 weeks on a huge stage.
Did the guy win?
He did not. He got stopped in the second round.
Wow.
But he had just got knocked out 2 weeks earlier. That's why I believe when you're getting ready for a big fight like that, you need to really tone down when you get close, because something like that happened, and that guy is he's a national Gold Glove champion. He still is an incredible fighter. He still has time, like Aleem, to come back. But yeah.
So nobody's calling you guys for sparring late in the camp, then, huh? Is that what you're saying?
Nah. Like I said, Aleem is, but y'all know, he wouldn't be in this moment if he wouldn't be in this moment if he wasn't. And like I said, we've had him for 5 fights, but he had fought on my undercard his 3rd fight. I was the main event. I beat Jimmy Lang at the Patriots Center, and he was on my undercard. So we've known each other for a long time. Crazy that you fast forward, and now I'm promoting Aleem.
Hey, man, appreciate you very much. Best of luck to you. We'll be out there March 21st right here on ProBox TV. Looking forward to it, man.
Yeah, definitely. Thank y'all, and I look forward to meeting y'all.
Definitely, for sure. So this idea, Lester Martinez, he said there's no tomorrow for these guys. This is do or die. We always talk about the step forward both these guys could take with a win, especially looking impressive, big stage in Southern California. The loser, man, has a tough mountain in a 168-pound division that is very, very hot right now. Is this a can't afford to lose kind of situation?
Well,
you don't want to think that way as a fighter, but it's certainly a possibility.
I think their levels change with a loss here. Yep. So Aleem, this is his last chance. This is his last chance to elevate and get into the world-class status once again, to vie for an actual world title, to fight these big-name guys, get in these big stages. With a loss here, if he looks good on a loss here, he can move on and be like a ProBox TV guy. He can get another shot, maybe on a bigger stage, and get pulled up in that sense. But he's certainly going to be the B-side. With a win, obviously, he steps into some real money-making opportunities and some good contention. Still going to have to fight some really tough fights on bigger stages. With Lester, a win here, obviously, we know, we've been talking about it. He's interim champion. He's in line potentially for the winner of Mbili and Canelo. Whether he ever gets to see either one of those guys, is going to be a lot of political movements. But with a loss here, it's going to put a little bit of a ceiling on Lester. It's going to be really difficult for him to break through that glass ceiling once again to get back to this area. It would take some rebuilding. It'll be tough. He might get some calls to be the B-side if you lose a fight like this. Some people are going to write him off completely. You're not supposed to lose to a guy like Aleem when you're at Lester's level, when you're trying to be world-class and trying to be the first Guatemalan world champion. So a lot on the line for both these guys. I don't think either one of them it will be... Both, of course, won't be happy with a loss, but neither one of them can risk not going out there and putting on their very best. But a lot to lose here. But at the end of the day, I think there's more to lose for Lester. I think it's a much riskier situation because, like I said, Aleem loses here. He's going to be the underdog, but if he performs well, he'll still get some good fights coming along the way. But Lester, a loss here, and the shine will really be knocked off of his luster.
I think both guys it's a must win in that way. But I'll say one thing to push back on you, champ. He still has a draw against the WBC super middleweight champion. So if Lester loses, he's not he's not in a streak.
To lose this. It's Christian Billy. You got to draw with him. Wow, that's awesome. But like if you lose,
but it's still on your resume. He could get brought back as an opponent for a big name and maybe have another opportunity somewhere else. But I think as far as
Kucherov never got anywhere with a loss to Aleem.
Yeah, but Kucherov didn't have a draw with a world champion,
But is he in the room? You talk about kind of the room.
Lester is in the room, but if he loses, he's on the outside of the room, or he's trying, or the door's open. They're trying to kick him out, and maybe
it's like the nightclub. You're outside of the club now. Now you go get through the bouncer.
No, they're pushing him out, and he's dragging his feet in because he could still get an opportunity as a B-side if he loses this fight. Because again, that draw against Mbili still holds up. Where you could get a phone call for Aleem. His ability to get these phone calls drops off if he doesn't at least perform well. But that story is why we bring on these interviews. Tony, the promoter for Aleem, interesting story. We know Aleem throws explosive punches, and he can hurt you at any point. So this is a dynamite fight for these two guys because both of these guys have that kind of explosive fight-changing power in an instant, And he makes a good point too in that for this moment in Lester's career where it's basically a middle-of-the-road, stay-busy fight before you can jump back in, this is about as tough an opponent as can be for this level of fight, So
which we said as soon as we announced it. You and I both looked at each other. We were like, that's a tough fight.
It's not
dangerous.
It's not Pacheco. It's not Shiraz. But it also, if you're going to drop
those are
a
big
level,
money fights too.
Yeah, but if you're going to drop a level, this is a tough fight for that level,
Technically, it's a stay busy fight, but it's not a stay busy opponent.
But at the same time, it's ProBox, so what can we expect? It's a stay busy fight on ProBox. It's not really ever. It's never really a gimme. So Aleem, has that explosive fight changing power. He has that dynamic athleticism.
I'm glad that Tony co-signed all the things that we have been saying exactly about him, and even Bomac did. He said that too. Now you just got to go out there and make us look good and actually fight this way.
No, but I tell you, this is a fun fight. This is not just a showcase. A lot of times these kind of situations. I guess that's what Tony was trying to say. These kind of situations call for a showcase type of fight. Where Lester just put his name on the big stage, and now people are just going to be curious about him. You could easily just use this as a showcase fight, but this is not a showcase opponent. This is an opponent where if you're not wired live that night, he can turn out the lights on you, can Aleem. So it's actually a fun fight. It's a fun ProBox fight. It could be a drag-out war. It could be a destructive 2-round fight. Yeah, it could be a 2-round war for all I'm talking about. It could be multiple knockdowns. It could be. Listen, both of these guys are dangerous to one another, and both of these guys won't have to find each other. Both of these guys like to fight, and they like to look for the dynamite shots. It's not like one of them is going to have to look that hard to find the other one in the ring. They're not going to be hiding.
But you always say, Paulie, that if you're trying to rebuild or you want to get some attention, don't fight a puncher. Don't fight a puncher.
Yeah.
Don't fight a puncher.
Don't have a choice.
Right. They don't have a choice. But the flip side of where does each guy go, if you're not on a winning streak, if you're not looking impressive, you don't give somebody a reason, you would never choose a fighter like this. You're surprised that, this is a not comeback fight, but this is the fight after a breakout fight for Lester Martinez. If you lose, Lester Martinez loses, let's say, just, loses a big upset, all right, in a fight he was supposed to win and look impressive.
On a step-down show.
And
that's big. That's a big part of this.
Right.
When you go from fighting like an undercard to fighting on a
ProBox
TV
undercard.
Yeah, exactly. Which was introduction to the world, and now you go down to this to back to this level. You're going backwards in terms of the level of fight, which is why this had to be such a tough fight. Because he is going down a rung in terms of promotion and show, but the level of competition has to stay high. It has to live up to the ProBox TV standard. This is not just a showcase where we're like, we're putting Lester in the main event because it's Lester Martinez, so it doesn't matter who he fights.
Yeah.
No, he's got to fight somebody for real, and Aleem is for real. So this, like Champ said, this is a good, fun fight.
A phrase that I borrowed from Teddy Atlas one time, and I say GBND.
You borrow many from him.
But you borrow a lot of
good ones.
He spits them all out. I call them GBNDs, right? Game but not dangerous. This guy's game but not dangerous. And I remember it was Zab Judah's comeback, and it was on ESPN, and Teddy Atlas was calling the fight, and he was calling the highlights of, Zab Judah won. And he goes, this is a guy you want rebuilding somebody. Game but not dangerous. And I went, man, that describes so... He's there. He's going to be in front of you.
I think
he's going to hurt you.
A puncher, though,
but he's not going to knock you out.
I think we talked about this. I think I talked about this. I believe it was Omar Vice. the Argentinian who was very tricky, but he couldn't punch. I believe, because you had mentioned this before, I believe it was him. It was either that or it was Vester who he beat
Alan
up.
Vester,
It was either Alan Vester or Omar Weiss.
Yeah.
But it'd be either way. Both guys.
Weiss is
Game,
very
but
crafty.
not dangerous.
Weiss was very
Vester
crafty.
was
Vester was there to
pastry.
get. He was there to get splattered.
Yeah.
But
Weiss
was there to get splattered too. But he was just too good.
Weiss was crafty. He
Very
did get
good.
splattered for a second, but I think he got up and went the
He
distance.
got cracked with that uppercut. That
I think
jab
he went
always
the
throws.
distance, if I
And he went the
remember
distance.
So it was Weiss.
yes.
So it was Weiss.
And he won
'cause
rounds
Vester-
too. He was in the fight.
No, Weiss was a crafty guy. I remember he was a pretty good fighter.
But neither one of these guys are GBNDs. They're dangerous. They're both dangerous guys. And is it hard to rebuild and remarket a dangerous guy?
For GBND type of opponent, you're looking at
Not
for the
ProBox,
point
that's for
of
sure.
Yeah, ProBox doesn't have a lot of those,
who
right?
Lester's gonna fight. So you look at it, because obviously Lester is the guy who's on the come up, but is Aleem the GBND? No, because he can punch. He can punch. He's game. And his punching power makes him
he's
dangerous. And his craftiness to set up that punching power makes him dangerous. So, you got to be alive. And listen, one thing about Lester, though, he's always switched on. He likes a good fight himself. Yeah. This is why this is for however long it lasts, it's a fight.
What is the power or ability, to the fans who don't know, an interim title in the WBC? Because that's what's on the line. Chris, how valuable is it? Where does the winner go? What does it mean to actually get that around your waist at this point in boxing?
Go watch the interview with Lester. And when he talks about that's how important that is. Yeah. For a fighter in terms of what it means to them. It's a big deal. Granted, he wants a full world title, and he said that, but he lit up when he talked about having an opportunity to fight for an interim title. Also, we've seen in recent time a lot of interim champions being upped and become full champions. So that's one thing. And then two, it's just ranking. If you are the interim champ, you're supposed to be next in line. Great meritocracy and rankings don't always play the
not part. Always the same, yeah.
Not always the same in this sport,
I'm glad Champ got to answer that question.
But it's still important.
He's our political analyst here. He got to answer it first. For me, if it has teeth and if the interim status is enforced to a full world title shot soon, okay. If it doesn't, which many times it doesn't, actually most of the time I see that it doesn't, then it's that and $3 will get you on the MTA on the subway in New York City, and you can show it off if you want. But it doesn't mean anything.
But to your point, guys like Lester, probably it doesn't have teeth. Because he's going to be avoidable.
Well, that's the thing. I'll give you an example of, sometimes me and Chris go on to personal stories of our careers. I remember when I had to go to Ukraine to fight Sinchenko for the WBA welterweight title. At the time, the super champion only showed himself if there were 5 title defenses or if it was unification. So a super champion did not exist in every weight class. The WBA welterweight title was the world title. If you were a special world champion, you became a super champion. Today, it's a super title for everything and a world title for everything. It's just 2 different belts. They completely manipulated that system. Okay. At the time, though, the WBA welterweight champion was a world champion. Unless that welterweight champion became special and unified, like Mayweather wound up unifying with his WBC title when he beat Maidana, then it became a super title. Anyway. What I'm saying is this. I was offered to go to Ukraine, take a risk for the WBA title. If it was the interim title or any secondary world title, I was not going to Ukraine, bro. It didn't, because these things tend to not have teeth. Okay? So I'm not going to Ukraine and risking my entire career because I was one loss away from falling off the cliff in terms of my career ending, at least at a high level. And it was like almost basically as close to a must-win as can be. I was not going to risk my career for a secondary title. So
and Champ, good for you, because a lot of people, guys and girls, they'll win an interim title, and then they'll tell everybody till the cows come home that they were 2-time world champions, 3-time world champions when there was someone else in the weight class who had that belt.
Yeah,
a lot of people do that.
But the thing is, it was also a lot of risk. You go there, there could be politics, there could be everything. I'm not doing it unless the reward is so high. You know what I mean? Where there's the major title is there. I wasn't gonna do it for the secondary title or a third-rate title or whatnot because, like I just explained, sometimes these things don't have teeth. A lot of times, unfortunately, these things don't have teeth. Back in the 90s and 80s, well, 80s, I don't know if they created interims yet, but by the 90s, the interims did have teeth when they first started using interims. They weren't forced. Within 6 months, you had to fight the full champion. The full champion would be stripped. Nowadays, it's not enforced. So I was not.
But some guys do get upped.
Some guys get upped.
We've seen it a lot. So
Gervonta Davis became lightweight champion like that.
There you go. If you going with personal stories, when I fought Amir Khan, it was for the WBC silver title. I didn't care about anything except for world titles, so I wasn't going to pay the sanctioning fee. I was like, you know what? Yeah. They don't need to take my money. I'm making a lot of money in this fight. I don't want to pay the fee. That belt doesn't matter to me. But then I was thinking, if I win this fight, I'm going to call out Floyd Mayweather because they were talking about Khan fighting. They were at the time, yeah. They were talking about forever. It was Khan Mayweather, and the idea of that Team Khan was the reason they picked me. And I remember talking to his strength coach, Tony Brady. He was like, I knew that was a bad idea. You're way too tough of a guy for them to fight. Because they were thinking, if he beats him worse than Pacquiao, we'll be able to call him Floyd and get the Floyd fight. Obviously, the fight went the way it did. He didn't get the fight because he didn't look that great then. Oh, he actually looked good. I just looked great. But
I thought you won that fight.
Yeah, most people do. And so I decided, you know what? I actually am going to pay the sanctioning fee because if I get the WBC silver title, I can then call out Floyd. Because if I didn't do that and then try to call out Floyd, even WBC would be like, no.
I'll tell you probably would have got Floyd.
Yes,
coming off that win,
absolutely. Yeah.
You fit the bill.
I remember doing a
cost you millions. See how robberies just cost you millions of dollars.
So this is great. A prominent journalist grabs me after the fight, and they were like super psyched, and they were like, "Chris, you did so great. That was such an awesome performance." And he's like, "You look sad. You look really." I was really, really bummed. And one of the most bummed I ever was in my life was after the Amir Khan fight, and I was like, I looked at him, I go, I lost. But also in my head, I'm like, I just lost millions of dollars. Like you thought I did good.
Yeah.
You know, I lost millions of dollars. This is life-changing money for me and for my family, honestly. So you got to think about these robberies, how much they actually affect fighters.
Yeah, and it's a similar kind of thing here for Lester Martinez. Is this one of those crossroads, crossover appearance kind of things? Last time in Southern California, I was personally impressed. Man, a lot of Guatemalan flags. This crowd is really Who knew, right? I knew there were a lot of Central Americans. I'm from Southern California, but man, they were out with the flags. And Robert Garcia, and for people who don't know, aren't from Southern California, there's a little like Central American Mexican rivalry, and Robert and I were joking about that on air. He goes, yeah, we had a little bit of, they don't like our fighters, we don't like theirs, da-da-da. He goes, certain guys who have a style that appeals to the Mexican fan base, they'll cross over for him. Arguello was very, very popular with Mexican fans. We like the way he fought. And Lester has the potential to be that crossover kind of star who can get the Central American and the Mexican American and Mexican crowd. That's huge in Southern California, right? Could this, with the belt and everything else, propel him to that kind of level? Because if you look at 168, generally speaking, you have Canelo. Yeah, that's a big weight class for a lot of Mexican Central American fans. That big guys who used a little bit smaller, welterweight and below. He could really chart new territory. Be the second, to Canelo as far as Latin American fans go. How big is that?
And we spoke about that with Robert the other day, and he says that his people, the Mexican fans and Mexican fighters, they have a lot of respect for Lester. And again, it's alluded to what you said about his style. And I'll say this because I was in camp I was in the Robert Garcia camp for a bunch of camps, and it was when Maidana first came on. And Maidana was very much accepted by the gym and the Mexican fan base because of his style. He was a very aggressive guy. He was a big puncher, but he's a South American guy. Like you said, there's a little bit of this. But listen, when it comes to boxing, Mexicans, if they see you can fight, you're right in the circle of trust.
Everybody likes a pocket fighter who can punch and can fight. I feel like everybody likes that. Latino fans are more passionate. There's more.
It's tribalism.
Their blood is
very
more,
tribal.
No, but it's also they're more hot blooded, right? So they like that kind of thing. They're more emotional. When Latin fans cheer, it's different than when your regular fans cheer, right? They're a little bit more like vociferous, right? That's what makes a great fan base. That's why the Brits are great as well, right? So I think everybody will like a Lester Martinez type of style. I think everybody will like an Emmanuel Lim type of style. But they, of course, when you get the Latins to like you, it becomes a bigger deal because boxing is huge in that community, and they're more hot-blooded. They're more passionate.
Triple G. Mexicans love the Mexican style.
Big drama show.
Ruslan Provodnikov. Mexicans loved him. Loved him. I got a lot of Mexican fans beating Ruslan because of that reason. They loved the way that he fought. I mean, how do you not love the way that I was a huge Ruslan fan. Huge Ruslan fan growing up, not growing up, but watching him on ESPN while I was actually in camp at Robert Garcia's, watching him on ESPN Friday Night Fights. But yeah, no, there's definitely a style that gets a certain different kind of respect from the Mexican fan base, which is why they are some of the best fans in the world. Them in UK, I think Mexico, I like Mexico a little better, but UK is great too. Sorry, guys. Mexican is...
I'm with the UK.
Yeah, there you go.
You
spent more time over there with them. Yeah. I think I've spent more time around Mexico.
I'm from Southern California. I got to go Mexican.
All right, guys. All right, leave me out there.
You're on the outside. You're on the outside. You're on the outside.
Still love the British fans.
Oh, they're great.
UK, I got you. Don't worry. I'm the rep.
He'll hold it down for you guys.
Yeah, the pressure, in a sense. What's so funny about Lester Martinez was last time out, he started winning when he was boxing, when he got a little space and was throwing combinations. So what's so funny is, as powerful he is, you talk about that Mexican style, when he had success against Christian Billy, it was a little bit of space, and he started boxing nice. And you saw that amateur pedigree he came into the pros with, Paulie. This dude can box. And now working with Bomac,
Yeah,
He can
I mean,
box. He can buy. Not just that Mexican take one to give one kind of stuff.
I'm not buying it yet because to outbox Mbili is not to outbox somebody else. I mean, Mbili, if you're crafty, I mean, even Gongora, I think dropped Mbili.
Yes.
Setting up some shots. So and Gongora's crafty. So Mbili, you can walk him into some shots if you box a little bit.
Exactly what he did.
Which is
Gongora
what
was
Lester
less than some shots.
Yeah,
to your point.
So I don't know if outboxing Aleem is going to be the same as outboxing Mbili because Mbili's one gear. All gas, right? Aleem will push pull. He'll take your turn. He'll change speed. He'll use throwaway punches and so on and so forth. So to box with Aleem is a little bit more difficult. I think you gotta probably do more pressing than boxing. While with pressing and Mbili, I mean, you're going against a runaway train, so you actually have an option to let me put on the back foot and box
Like
him a
he
little
tried
bit.
to do in the first 5 rounds.
Well, Bomac said it about Aleem. He goes, if you give this guy an inch, he'll box your ears off all night long.
Yeah.
He knows. Yeah. We know. Aleem is a different kind of guy.
I think Lester has to be the Lester of the early rounds against Mbili against Aleem. I think you got to back up. You don't want Aleem to get too confident because a guy with the ability of Aleem getting confident, the fight. It's an uphill battle after that.
Aside from the very first fight we had Lester on our air, where he fought the Brazilian fighter, I'm at a loss for his name right now. He's fought very, very fast to start. That fight he was a little bit slow. I wasn't super impressed with Lester that night, but ever since then he's looked absolutely incredible. But he starts fast. He fights better when there's a little bit of chaos and it's like that. I think that he was a little surprised at how much pressure Mbili could bring. But once he found a little bit of space and settled down and got used to what the pace was and was in a more control, we got to see the cream rise to the top. So this fight, like you said, Champ, I don't think these guys are gonna have trouble finding each other. I'm pretty sure they're gonna meet in the center of the ring. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of backward steps. I don't think there's gonna be a lot of
nobody's hiding.
No, nobody's hiding. This is gonna be an all out, full on assault. From as soon as these guys decide that it's time to step on it, which is probably going to happen mid round 1, it's going to be a shootout until it's over.
Like two hungry tigers. Let the cage open and let them tear into each other.
They might circle a little bit, but as soon as they decide to engage, it's like that from then on.
Yeah, once they see their target, it is going to be on. But speaking of pacing, maybe taking your time, taking things slow. Dana White with some comments about Zuffa and where they're going in boxing right after this.
On Friday, March 13th, ProBox TV returns to Kissimmee, Florida for another action-packed contender series. In the 10-round main event, ProBox TV alumnus and fast-rising world-ranked light heavyweight Najee Lopez takes another stern test against Mexican top contender Manuel Gallegos. Up-and-coming Dominic Valle will take on battle-hardened veteran Eduardo Ramirez of Mexico.
Well, we're wondering about the pacing of Zuffa boxing. Dana White came out and made some public statements about it. Here it is. He said he's calling this a work in progress. Said he wants to build a promotion around elite fighters rather than traditional sanction bodies. How will it play out? He's saying he's willing to take his time to build it up the right way. Now, one of the things we've been talking about, especially with the Conor Benn $15 million one-fight signing, which he says is Turki Alalshikh's money. It's kind of a different thing. Well, the analogy for me is football. Right? I'm a Steelers fan, right? Let's say
American football.
American for you guys. American football.
For the Brits.
Okay, you guys. American football.
You're fans of the biggest boxing fans.
American football, right? American football. If you sign a great quarterback, let's say Josh Kelly, who's currently with the Bills, you can sign Josh Kelly.
Not the IBF junior champion.
Different person. Yeah. Yes, Josh Kelly. Anyway, the quarterback.
Once
again, gotta explain it.
Again, for the Brits.
When you sign a great player, you're not just saying I'm signing a great player. Got to get receivers. Got to get a line to protect him. Also, the idea of it's Super Bowl or bust once you sign a big name. It's just like once you spend the money on a great team or a great element to your organization, puts a lot of pressure on you.
Buffalo Bills fired their coach, right?
Thank you. We gave you a Super Bowl team. We spent X number of dollars. You didn't get to a Super Bowl with that talent. Getting to the playoffs isn't good enough. If we have a garbage team and you get to the playoffs, Pittsburgh Steelers every year under Mike Tomlin, it's not the same. We gave you the tools to win a Super Bowl.
That's why Steinbrenner was such a tough owner for the Yankees, right?
Exactly. I'm spending the money. I want this. So Dana White's saying, I'm going to take my time and build everything. So Chris, originally you went, this is a slow roll. It's a nice slow play. That's what he's doing, building up his talent. And then when you see things like Conor Benn and $15 million and got Teofimo Lopez, I want that money too. then you think it might be moving a little bit faster. What's your thought on the pacing right now, Chris, given the comments of Dana White?
Dana just steelmanned my entire argument of what I've been saying this whole time. Yep. This is going to be a slow roll. This is a slow play. This is going to take a while, and you got to watch the bottom of these Zuffa cards. That's where they're cultivating talent. They're scooping up the next generation. These big like flashy moves that are happening, the Conor Benns, the Jai Opetaia signings that are getting shot across the bow, that's the go, whoa, and then you get everybody to look up, and while they're taking over underneath, right? We're looking up at this, wow, we're all talking about Conor Benn, we're all talking about this. Meanwhile, they're signing up all the young talent of the next generation. There's a lot of really good up-and-coming talent showing on these undercards and Zuffa, and they're going to end up fighting each other, and they're going to really develop and build. In the meantime, though, what are you going to do with the current crop of guys who are a little too big to buy straight away? You use someone else's money and you purchase a Conor Benn for one fight, and you make this big flowing thing like, wow, these guys have got some real money, and they're paying us guys at this level, that kind of money. Maybe I'll talk to my manager, maybe going over there, jumping into one of these super fights. It also makes big events for everyone to tune into. Wow, this is the same company. And again, company is the big thing, like you're talking about. The Steinbrenners, the New York Yankees. That's a brand. That's a business. Yes, that's a brand, and there's a business behind it. And with businesses, there's always a bottom line. You got to show me where the investment's going. I got shareholders, dude. We need to make money. I got kids to send to college. I got 13 homes to take care of. So,
it's not easy.
I got a yacht that
servants aren't going to pay themselves.
That has a slip. So you got to show me where the money is going, where it's going to go, and how it's going to grow. But I think this is, again, a slow play, just like Dana's saying, and I've been saying this, a month now, Jimmy. What am I saying? I've been saying this for a while. Be careful. These guys are coming. They're coming.
Paulie? Thought on the pacing?
$15 million is not a slow play, though.
Yeah, that's exactly.
But that's my point. It's they're eye-catching movements. It's not. That's not the real play.
But you just explained that you got to show your shareholders where the money's going. We got put $15 million into a guy who's never going to be a world champion
to fight Regis Prograis.
Not when you're using someone else's money, right, Jimmy? It's not Zuffa money. It's Turkey's
money. Yeah.
So it was just a donation because it's Turkey's money? I don't understand.
That's the hard thing to understand, isn't it? I mean, exactly where the
line is. Because you're talking
about,
they're filling up these undercards with these big prospects. A big prospect in boxing.
I didn't say they're big prospects. I said the next generation.
Where's their gold medalists? Where's their world amateur champions? Where's the guys that your top ranks used to grab and your Don Kings used to grab and where are they on these cards?
They're coming. Those are more expensive. They're getting. This is the.
So that's the slow play part.
Yes.
So it's a slow play when it's convenient, but it's a fast play when it's convenient.
No, it's a two-pronged approach. It's chess, baby. It's pawns up front.
Oh, now you sound like one of these Donald Trump supporters, where he's right all the time. Where it's like, oh, he's doing
First of all, who's he? It's
but it's like when you can never. No, what I'm saying is that to give an argument, guys. I'm not playing politics here. I don't care for Trump nor his opponents. Okay, but what I'm saying is.
Make it a very polarizing episode right now.
I am, but here's the thing. I don't care for the other side either, guys. I'm just don't put me on one. Don't put me in any of these BS categories.
Now you're on a watch list.
No, but what I'm saying is, it sounds like if I give you this, yeah, but they're doing this. Okay, okay. Well, what about this? No, but they're doing that. There's always an answer. But are these guys stupid?
You know what?
I'm gonna give you Jake LaMotta with Joey LaMotta. You give me all the answers, Joey. You're not giving me the right answer. All the answers. If it's a slow play, it's a slow play. They're picking up prospects. Okay, what about Conor? Oh, that's so it's not a fast play. It's this. But the way, okay, if it's a slow play, where's their amateur world champion?
It's misdirection.
Watch. We have a super chat.
Give me all the answers, Joey, but you're not giving me the right answer.
Matt Borgerson. You fail to consider the current situation in Iran may cause the faucet of wealth from the kingdom to focus on priorities instead of entertainment. We're talking a little bit later on.
Are the Saudis involved in that war? I don't know. No, they aren't. No,
I feel like is everybody involved in that war? If it starts
war
to go
in
out,
the Middle East, period.
Yeah, dude,
and Saudi Arabia is part of the Middle East. The idea.
Have you heard? I mean, have you heard about the insurance clauses now on all the boating? That's going to cause. That's going to affect everything, every business. So they're putting for the movement of the ships. Everything needs to be now crazy insurance premiums in order to guarantee that whatever
Strait
products.
Hormuz, it's called. That goes
but just in general, the whole area, everything that's going on, any kind of shipments that are going around through that area are going to have to be have an insurance policy that's crazy through the roof. The
insurance is great because they just take your money, and then when something does happen, they never pay you anyway.
No, they never pay. They get bailed out.
I love it.
And we will discuss later on in the show about how fighters are leaving the Middle East right now. It might be hard to put on a show in the Middle East.
I know people from Sandy that still didn't get paid. from Hurricane Sandy.
Same, I do too.
Wow.
Long Island.
Really?
Yeah,
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh,
They
yeah.
take your money. You got to play flood insurance. You got to pay, but then when
This-
it's actually time to pay, they
When
don't,
there's actually
they
a
don't
flood?
actually pay you. It's just an extortion. You
They're
have to
still
pay them
finishing these
insurance.
houses. They're still finishing the houses.
Yeah,
It's
you
ridiculous.
still have to pay the insurance premium, but then when the insurance to do their job, they never pay.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But
Because they're busy spending your money.
very, very true.
It's a racket.
The idea that you gotta spend money to make money, at least in the beginning, Chris. This idea that right now it's a slow roll until we really get going. I mean, what boxing promotion comes out and doesn't hemorrhage money for the first couple years? Now we're used to these old promotions, been around for a long time. Of course, you talk about Top Rank, Don King, Matchroom, been around for a long time. Hard to believe these things were solvent in the beginning, right? There has to be an investment in the beginning to make your money. So it doesn't surprise me that they're going to be underwater for a couple years. But we didn't get to it yesterday, but I want to talk about it right now. You're hearing more and more UFC fighters grumble, going, "We're in a product."
Well, that's what Eddie was saying, right? Eddie Hearn was saying that. What happens when the UFC fighters start to hear about these kind of money?
and they are
no,
now.
they
We're
are.
hearing about Israel Adesanya came out in public. He got 15 million.
Much more than grumbling, yeah.
Our side of the business is making money. Our side of the business isn't underwater, and I'm not making $15 million. Right. It's just that, hey, we keep the lights on. The UFC's part of Zuffa keeps the lights on, $1.1 billion a year. This guy's getting $15 million?
Yeah. They
So
don't even keep the lights on, yeah.
will it be enough? I don't know. Mixed martial arts don't have the options boxers have. They just don't. So it's going to be interesting.
I feel like, so, Champ, you're gonna feel this one too. So I went pro around 2007, 2008. Market crash. Affected our sport big time. Big time. Certain things are inflation proof, right? Like the Middle East generally is. Nobody's war proof. So there's going to be ripples of that. Will it be major? Who knows? That's above my pay grade. But in terms of how this is going to affect, this is worldwide. It's going to affect the markets. The markets are changing. Everything's changing. Timing is not great, for this rollout. But are they too big to fail? Is that the question? But again, war ain't inflation. It's different. It's a whole different thing. This is it's almost like nothing was pandemic proof. Nothing's really war. But everything, it costs money, man. It costs a lot of money, and you see big corporations go under or at least need to get bailed out. And when you have to cut corners, you have to cut the fat. Like, do you cut where the newest venture is, kind of thing. So it's very interesting, weird times, and for many reasons. And obviously we're talking about things that are way above us. But yeah, very, very, very curious to see how this all rolls out. But guess what? Boxing is crazy as always.
Dana White also said that he's down to box Eddie Hearn. This is true. Listen, if Eddie wants to box, we can box. I don't think Eddie wants to box. Back in the day, I used to box with all the guys. Right, the same thing he did with Tito Ortiz back in the day, if you remember.
This one I got it. I'm going to quote Babalu Sobral when I talk to him.
Babalu,
when I remember asking Babalu years ago, because it was the time of the Dana and Tino Ortiz beef. I'm like, can he really fight? And to quote Babalu, and I'm not going to say the word, I'm going to say effing. He goes, box. He was an effing Taibo instructor. He was an effing Taibo instructor. Box. He said
Babalu.
He's a Taibo instructor.
Yeah.
So no. Dana. I saw Eddie hit Frank Smith with that body shot.
Yeah, that's pretty sweet.
Eddie will beat Dana's ass.
Eddie's a big guy.
And he's got the reach and
Eddie's
everything.
a big guy. Eddie's a
and
really
Dana's
big
never
guy.
going to do it. Dana just talks.
Nah, this
Fun stuff from Dana.
But it would probably be a good show for charity.
Absolutely. And it would be some really bad blood. But this is.
But Dana won't do it.
These two, it's looking more and more like. You stole my girl. I'm stealing your girl. The Aspinall thing. Now we're gonna
signing Tom Aspinall.
Now we're gonna go
Wait,
fight.
What happened with Aspinall?
Tom Aspinall
you missed that yesterday.
Matchroom.
Yeah, I missed it yesterday.
So
Tom Aspinall signed with Matchroom.
Tom with
this is the
the
beautiful
guy
thing
got
about
poked in the eye?
Yes.
Yes. The beautiful thing about doing live, Jimmy gets first of all, he's on his phone real quick. He glanced down, but he's working, so he can't look at his phone. But
Eddie, I got poked in the eye. Can I get signed too?
But you're not friends with Dana. That's the whole point.
Know,
That's
right?
the whole point of
Oh,
this.
you're
That's
friends.
the whole point of this.
Yeah,
So
okay.
we this is the great thing about doing about live is we got a great fast chat or whatever we call it, and they told, hey guys, what do you think about Eddie signing Aspinall? And it's like, oh, you stole my girl, I'm stealing your girl. Now it's 3:00 at the
Outside the
tree.
parking lot.
3:00 at the tree.
Yeah.
It's high school stuff.
But this is like
drama.
Reality TV.
100%.
It's nuts.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
Bro, they should do it. For a charity, bro, you could put like the best charity out there.
Who promotes it?
Who promotes it? ProBox.
Is it a
It's a ProBox site.
neutral site? This is the tree. We're the tree that you show up and fight.
I mean, do we really make it dramatic and have Oscar?
Oh, man, that's it.
You have Oscar.
Chip.
You have Oscar
Boom.
promote it.
That's
and
it.
then he calls out the winner.
Eddie versus Dana. Oscar promoting.
And then he calls out the winner.
Oscar gets a winner.
Oh.
Oscar gets the winner.
undercard spots for Conor and Aspinall just because they were the former girlfriends, right?
Yes.
And,
Yes.
Ah, dude, you could do what you could do. Netflix televises it because it's a drama.
Done.
It's a drama. It's a big drama show to quote Golovkin, and Netflix has to do it. I'm in. Who's in? Guys,
Oscar, you in? Oscar, you in?
Definitely is. But
Oscar promotes.
Oscar promotes.
And has dibs on the winner.
you know what's really weird? And I don't know if it's as much in boxing. It's in MMA. Like, it's so obnoxious. And I just want to touch on it because we're talking about this. The self-consciousness that MMA brings out of people that didn't do MMA
Insecurity
is absurd. The insecurity, the self-consciousness of managers and their coaching guys. I'm going, you don't know what you're talking about. Boxing's a little more professional. Rarely do you see. I've seen managers literally coaching fighters in the cage, and I'm going, he doesn't know what he's talking about. He has no clue.
Do not listen to him.
Or guys, we'll all have a mat set up usually, where we'll train or whatever in between. I'll jump on there, or whatever. Managers jump on there. I'm like, you have no idea what you're doing, and just get housed. And I'm going, why are you even? What are you doing? It's almost like I want to be part of this too. And you're like, dude, you're just not. You're a manager. You own a soft drink company. Whatever it is you do,
stay in your lane.
Stay in your lane.
Yeah.
Does that happen? Because I'm going to box this guy. I'm like, dude, are you?
Listen,
fighting is something everybody wants to relate to because it's like
they want
the manly machismo thing. So everybody wants to sort of.
If you think about the modern era promoters, you think of Bob Arum and Don King, right?
Yes.
Bob's in there with his suspenders. He's not fighting nobody.
Yeah.
He's not. He's
But
you're
the
gonna
Bob
come
was
in. I'm
the ultra businessman.
Super businessman. You're getting sued, buddy. We're not. I'm not a tough guy. You can be the tough guy. I don't need to be a tough guy. I'm gonna collect the checks. I'm gonna pay you. How about that? And even Don was like a. Legit,
I mean, Don would have killed you.
Don was a legit street guy.
Literal street guy.
The street guy.
He's a bookie.
He's still not talking about fighting none of you guys. He'll get beat up. Won't be him doing it. He ain't getting his hands dirty. His hands were dirty in the past. They're not dirty now. He's stepping out.
Don
of
was
the
half a
Rolls-Royce.
street guy himself. He would have probably hired somebody.
Half a street guy. He's a full street guy. But
he did time for murder.
But he's not getting
Manslaughter.
dirty anymore. He's past that. It's a whole different mentality. The gentleman promoter, boxing is a gentleman.
I heard Don got beat up a couple times in boxing. Mike Tyson, I heard beat him up or chase him through a parking lot.
Allegedly.
I heard Zeb and Yoel, his father.
Allegedly.
I heard Zeb and his father beat up Don. They went to his office and beat him up. I've heard.
I heard his office is bulletproof.
But that's the
office?
other way around though. We were talking about these guys are going after the fighters, thinking they can fight. Like
Yeah. That's a good point. But it's always Dana doing that.
I
no?
think Joe DeGuardia didn't Joe DeGuardia punch Lou Duval?
Joe DeGuardia won the Golden Gloves, I think. Didn't
Yes, he did.
The New York
Yes, he
Golden
did.
Gloves.
Yes, he did.
Joe
Yes.
DeGuardia actually boxed.
Yes. And his father was legit pro.
Yeah, and if you could win the New York Golden Gloves in those days, you could fight a little bit.
Yeah, his father used to spar Willie Pep.
Yeah. Okay, so those Joe's can balance it out a little bit. No, you can fight.
Yeah, but I think he'd punch Lou Duval over.
And he probably knew how to turn it over too, unlike Dana.
But this idea that people around business people in the fight world are stuck. I'm going to box this guy. I'm like,
No, you're not.
what are you doing? You're a promoter. You're worth hundreds of millions of dollars, and you're gonna. This is where we're going here. But the theater of Eddie Hearn
But
versus
today, the sideshow sells.
Yeah.
But I tell you again, that left hook to the body Hearn does, bro. I don't know, bro.
But the thing is, Hearn has more followers than his fighters. Dana's a bigger brand than his fighters because he's outlasting all these guys. So it's different. We live in a different world. Like Bob did everything behind. I'm talking about Arum, but the Bob father. He did everything behind closed doors. Yes, we saw him. Yes, we knew about him. Yes, we heard him because what he said was gold all the time. But no, it's a different era. We live in a very different world. This is the modern technological Instagram clickbait, rage bait era. So that kind of stuff works. And listen, I'm here for it. It's fun as hell.
When you look at the upcoming fights and what's going on right now, Inoue versus Junto Nakatani, the mega fight in Tokyo. Chris, very, very interesting. A lot of people wondering about tickets.
Yeah, me too.
What's the exact date? May what?
Have you?
I think it's third.
I think it's May 3rd. I think it's May 3rd.
Man.
But
I know.
When
May 3rd.
May 2nd. My producers tell me now.
May 2nd. But May 2nd in Japan is May 1st here. So.
Well, that's a good point, too. I hadn't thought about that.
That's why I think it's... So does that mean it's May 3rd there, May 2nd here?
Yeah, because a lot of times they do it on Sunday, right?
It is.
And
right
in
now,
Vegas,
the second.
and in Vegas is Zurdo, and in Vegas is Zurdo versus...
Yeah. And I think we have a show, too, May 1st.
Yeah.
ProBox.
Yes.
Yeah, but if it... Okay, we have it for May 2nd as well, or May 1st?
May 1st, I believe. I think we're Friday, May 1st, and there's May 2nd, and then you got...
Wow, that's heavy.
It's heavy weekend.
That's heavy.
Is it impossible to get tickets? Could you not find them? Do they not? What's the deal?
Tokyo Dome's got like 50,000 seats.
Tokyo Dome is huge. It's 80,000. It's huge.
I mean, That's the thing when it's in Japan. Like, how do you get the tickets? You have to go through the Tokyo Dome. I'm not really sure. Like, how do you
Go to Top Rank.
I mean,
You
someone asked me online.
Chris?
They're like, who's
55,000 the Tokyo Dome.
Yeah, so like, I mean, is that gonna sell out? Is that one of those things that's gonna sell out like immediately? Like, is there that kind of draw? Probably.
Might be.
Probably. That might be like we got a pre-sale, and then once it goes in hours because that's what kind of.
This is
we're
heavy.
talking about how global Inoue is. He's literally fighting.
Okay,
local.
so
His
what
local.
time is everything on that day? Because I'm gonna start preparing now, right? So it is.
I'm gonna start preparing now.
Zurdo Benavidez is on at night because it's in Vegas Saturday night on the East Coast. But Nakatani and Inoue is what, Saturday morning?
All
So I'm
right, so
about
here's
to
what we're gonna
find
do.
out.
Because that's Saturday night in Tokyo is Saturday morning. In
Well,
America,
we
right?
got our show. We're gonna end probably around midnight that night on
But
Friday.
we're on
We-
Friday the 1st.
Right. So then we jump on the ProBox TV private jet, the PJ, and we take directly to Japan.
I
we
probably
watch.
probably drive to New York since we're in Maryland. But yeah.
All right, so you're gonna take your own PJ.
Yeah.
You're not gonna take the ProBox
No,
PJ.
no,
Okay,
I drive
you're gonna
my
take the
car.
Martinez Express.
I turn on the engine, press the button, and I drive home.
Okay.
I'll
and
probably,
then-
3 a.m. Eastern time.
fly into New York that weekend.
3
so-
a.m. Eastern time because it's for the local audience.
so that'll
3
be Sunday
a.m.
morning.
Eastern time.
Sunday morning.
It says 3
Bro, that's how you know.
a.m.
That's how you
Eastern
know
time.
the Western Hemisphere.
Saturday, May 2nd.
That's how you know the Western Hemisphere is losing out.
And-
Bro.
and
They
we
don't
talked-
even
we-
adjust.
hey,
They
we
don't
talked
even
about
adjust the
yesterday.
time for
Main event
for a
ring
fight
card
like
walks
that.
approximately 8 a.m. Eastern time. It's breakfast. Breakfast with
Oh, I love those.
breakfast with no.
So listen to this. Oh, you need to come to
8
the
a.m.
States to be a global star? Really? Apparently not.
Yeah.
We're getting up to watch
I'm
you,
getting
dude.
up and having breakfast and watching this.
Yeah.
100%. I'm
Oh,
getting up.
1,000%.
I mean, 1,000%.
But it's gonna be tough.
They
'cause-
didn't even adjust the time for us.
No.
Talk about not caring.
This is not Tyson Douglas, where it's like, oh, it's for New York, but it's happening
No,
here.
it's-
They're like,
it's-
no, this is for us.
Yeah.
I like it. Good
I do
for
too.
them.
Good
Good for them.
Good for them is right.
Good for
Yeah.
you, Spider. Don't take shit off nobody. Good
No,
for
no,
you.
this is for you. That's
So,
for
all
you.
right, so we're going to be up late watching Romero Zurdo.
Yes, we are.
That's a great fight, and those cards end up being so late. So it's 1 a.m. Eastern time,
Yeah.
and then
So you're gonna have a nap in between.
you're going to take a nap, and then you're going to wake up at 5 and watch the undercard because the undercards are always
Undercard's
awesome out there.
really
those,
good,
Those
yeah.
undercards out there are great.
It's gonna suck because I'm 2 weeks before my fight. I can't even have a nice meal when I'm watching my fights or nothing. It is
I don't know. It is
Lock
what
in,
it
dude.
is.
Lock in.
locked in and just
What,
watching.
but what do you think of Nakatani's last performance in terms of everyone's looking forward to this fight? Nakatani didn't look great.
Yeah, but Champ,
I
you
mean,
made a good point.
clearly
He's still
you're gonna have a
dangerous.
sellout either way.
I'm gonna let Champ take this one because he made
please.
some good points the other day about it.
Love it.
I don't think we should put too much weight on it, honestly. I just think he had a rough night with a very rough guy.
Who I want to see again, mind you.
Yeah. That guy overperformed. He was one of those guys we talk about on our all the time. You got these undefeated guys with knockout ratios that you're like, are those knockouts real? They were built somewhere else. They might not be real. That guy was real. That guy was super durable, super tough, very big for the weight, strong. I just think that Nakatani, I think it's going to be actually aid Nakatani to be in that kind of fight right before this big fight.
Yeah.
He got tested. He found different ways to win. He had to, I think he learned in that fight. I think he's going to realize that his jab has got to be a lot more than just a setup punch for his power. And I think it makes him a better fighter for it. I don't think we got to let that hold too much water.
All right, so I found ticket prices. All right, it says the ticket price right now ranges from roughly 11,000 yen to 330,000 yen. I will do the conversion in a second. It's the price. The resale prices have soared over 13 times their original value, with some tickets exceeding 880 US dollars.
All right, so Jimmy, I got last
yeah.
time. You get this time, right? You're paying for these because I bought the tickets last time.
You did.
Yeah,
You
so-
did. Okay, fine. All right, you get the flights. Is that a deal? Is that a deal?
Deal.
By the way, I've called MMA in Japan. It is awesome.
I'm sure.
I mean, I've been in Tokyo a few times. I'm very, very lucky. I've been in Tokyo a few times. I called Ryzen over there.
Yeah, Ryzen's great.
It's so funny, man.
What happened to Ryzen?
Still around.
They're still going.
Right, Ryzen's still around.
We only heard about it over here because that's where Pacquiao was going to fight.
Yeah, it's exclusively Japanese.
yeah.
It's almost like what you got to understand is in combat sports. You guys know this from boxing. K1, dude, you can make a living fighting exclusively in Japan in front of Japanese fans.
Absolutely.
A great living. It's one of the few no, we don't need to be.
They also love fighters from other countries.
They love them. They love them. So it's this, when I was doing Ryzen, the theater, the spectacle, guys with drums, boom, 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 boom. And it was like, man, this is freaking cool. I went and saw.
It's a fight culture.
Yeah.
They know how to do it.
And so it's real theater. Seriously, Paul, if you've never been able to go to Tokyo and see a fight, the theater's awesome. The fans are into it. It's really, really cool. It's almost like this samurai warrior mentality. And it
gotta go.
translates to the whole
I've been
show.
to Tokyo. I just haven't
Right.
been to a fight in Tokyo, but that's pretty sick.
I called 2 fights in Tokyo, and I went to I was calling American Ninja Warrior Remember that show? Yeah, Colin American we were doing it in Japan, and Gegard was there. Gegard Mousasi.
Yeah, Mousasi.
And I said, "Hey, Gegard, he goes, yeah, I'm fighting in Dream." I said, "Hey, can we get some tickets?" He goes, "Here."
Oh, I remember Dream.
Gegard and I are real
too,
cool.
yeah.
Gegard's like, "Here's my tickets," and Gegard smoked some Japanese dude.
He was one of my favorite non-UFC guys. Mousasi.
From what I've heard, the Dome is already sold out.
Yeah, see?
At 55,000.
Wow.
That's awesome, man.
I'm gonna have to be outside scalping tickets.
Dude, get them from a scalper, man. Probably the most polite scalpers ever, right?
Yeah, 50,000 yen.
Yeah, dude, do your black market thing. You have to, but so you don't think that the Nakatani's performance necessarily means anything for this fight, but how do you expect Inoue's his presence in Japan is already so big. Everybody talks about, what can you do in the United States? What can you do here? His presence in Japan is so big. This is an all-Japanese fight card.
Dude.
It's an all-Japanese fight. What does it do for his profile, you think?
I called Inoue's fight in Vegas. He moves the needle here too.
Yeah, he
It's
does.
Crazy. Fight week for him, with Cardenas in that last fight, it was nuts. Absolutely nuts. I mean, the weigh-in was to the brim packed. Doing the pre-show I was doing the weigh-in pre-show. I mean, there was people on camera. There were so many people. They had to be on the desk. They were basically on the desk. He is a phenomenon. He moves the needle here, there. I can't even imagine what it's going to be like. He is a rock star on levels I haven't seen since being around Pacquiao.
I have a question.
Please.
So the last fight was in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So the Saudis were involved. The Saudis involved in this fight, even though it's in Japan.
Yeah, it's a ring card.
It's ring.
Okay.
Yeah, someone asked me that too. They're like, what is this going to be on? Is this going to be on Tubi?
Yeah.
Because they're top-ranked fighters? I said, no, it's a ring card, so they're both going to be on DAZN.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
That's absolutely huge. Now, what do you think his step up is in the U.S.? Do you think it's Bam? We talked a little bit about that. I don't know if you were here, Paulie.
Yeah.
We talked a little about what his possible next step could be, because there are a lot of great fighters around it. Shushu Carrington saying, "Oh, yeah,
I was going to say Carrington's
Right.
going to put his name in the hat as well. He's going to throw his name in there. But I think Bam is a big name.
Yep.
And who keeps looking good himself. Yeah. I don't think Inoue or Nakatani can go up that many weight classes anymore, right? Yeah.
Nakatani, when I was in the interview for the pre-fight, he said he can do 26, but that's his top. He won't go above 26, but he does see he's going to be at 26. He also said at that time he was going to fight, I believe, 3 or 4 more years.
Okay.
At that time. So I think he's 30, 31 now, so 33, 34-ish he's going to be, and 126 is probably going to be his end goal. So he beats Nakatani here at 22. Does he immediately go up? Or does he wait for Bam?
What if we have a fight of the year type of fight and there's a rematch? I mean, everybody's making like, what's next? What about they might be each other.
Said that yesterday.
Next might be one another.
Let's not look past Nakatani. I think a lot of people are because of his last performance, but you cannot look past Nakatani.
Especially this guy in Inoue, despite his offensive ability, but gunslingers get shot. It's this idea that he can also run into a shot, and he's been dropped by guys who were not.
Nakatani hits, bro.
Yeah, he hits.
Nakatani can hit.
Yeah. Good, but deceiving power, surprising power.
And he's lanky. He's got that length.
Yeah, it doesn't look as violent. Like Inoue looks violent when he goes. Nakatani just hits you, and sometimes you're just gone. You know.
But do you think Nakatani has the upside of knowing Inoue? Because as I always,
I'm sorry, Jimmy.
Please, no.
He was pretty violent when he knocked out the Australian twin kid.
Goodman.
No. Nakatani knocked out
Maloney.
Yes, yes. He knocked out Maloney in one of the most vicious, scary knockouts with overhand left I've ever seen. So he could be violent too. Nakatani's something.
Does Nakatani have the upside of knowing Inoue? Because as I say, if you want to be a fan of boxing, if you're like, hey, I want to be a boxing fan, I'd show you Inoue. You would be a guy, hey man, offensive, beautiful, good movement, the power in and out, very, very well. Does Nakatani have that kind of upside? Does he have that kind of crossover appeal, Chris? Should he beat Inoue? Is his upside as high?
I think so. Look at his highlight reel. He ices guys.
Yeah,
beautifully, really sweet. Like 1, 2, and they're face down. Like he's
That's
got
what I'm saying about
what a
it.
run.
He makes it look like it's effortless.
Yes.
Well, Inoue looks more violent when he's throwing. Like he looks mean. Nakatani's more like just calculated. It's a bang
But if you remember, Inoue used to knock guys out like that too when he was in the weight classes that were smaller. Now he's fighting guys where he's got to really crack them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Load up a little bit.
Does he have to move up to get? Because one thing I love about boxing now, and we discussed this on our air as well. When I was a kid, back in forever ago, marketing below lightweight was tough. 47 was tough. The lighter weight class just didn't get the love. When people talk about Roberto Duran and how great he is, I think he's probably one of my top five, probably my top fighter of all time. But he's a natural lightweight fighting up. When you talk about his performance with Sugar Ray Leonard, I'm like, he wasn't a natural welterweight. You know, like he was decent size, but he wasn't a big welterweight at all. That you have to move up to a certain point to get that respect. Do we live in an era now where a 26er, a 30 guys this size can get their respect? Paul, you talk about it sometimes. Is that because it's a global world right now?
I think so. I mean, I think 26 probably those lower weight classes. I think guys like Carbajal, Chiquita Gonzalez, Nassim Hamed. That era brought in a lot of attention to those smaller weight classes and made people pay attention. Then when you paid attention, you started seeing guys like Marco Antonio Barrera, Eric Morales, Pacquiao, Marquez, so on and so forth. And then sort of the momentum just kept building. You're like, whoa, these weight classes are really fun.
But even Rafa Marquez is your best.
Rafa Marquez,
Ricardo Lopez, Tim Austin. You had good fighters in that era. And so, but the guys that made you pay attention mainly was Nassim Hamed, maybe Carbajal, Chiquita, that rivalry. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I'm going to pay attention to these lower weight classes. And then you started seeing all these other names you guys are mentioning. And, I think fans started paying attention to these weight classes because they were like, whoa, there's some good fighters down here. I want to watch these guys.
I think Barrera Morales was the checkpoint. Once we got to that, there was no looking back. These weight classes matter, and people here care because once that hit, it was HBO. That was in the heyday of HBO. Yeah. That first fight was an instant classic. Then the rest of the trilogy was amazing. Everyone, and that's the thing when you have a trilogy of two named guys that way, you tune in again, and then you learn about them, and you learn more each and every camp leading up, every marketing. I don't think there's ever going to be a point where we don't care about featherweight anymore. Yeah. Since then,
in general, I remember the beginning. Was it Boxing After Dark when it started? Mm-hmm. It was Barrera, Kennedy, McKinney. That's one guy. One guy we didn't mention with the '88 Olympians the other day with the Olympic discussion and the '88 team. Kennedy McKinney was another one.
Kennedy McKinney,
old gold medalist and world champion. That was another guy on that '88 team. On top of the other names we mentioned, you had McKinney versus Barrera as one main event. And the next main event wound up being Gotti versus Rodriguez, another small weight class fight that was a super dynamite fight. So, again, that era started making guys pay a lot more attention. There was, if you look at it, the history of boxing, there was always good fighters in those lower weight classes.
Sometimes the best.
Zarate, Pintor, all those guys.
Because you have to know more.
But there wasn't a place to watch them a lot, right?
Salvador Sanchez,
obviously, and Gomez and whatnot. But when you got these fights on television and you started paying attention more, like I said, it made you pay more attention. Then you started seeing these other fighters in these weight classes that were fun and there was a lot of action. And like you said, it got to Barrera Morales at a certain point and there was no looking back. But I think it started building and it got big from probably Hamed and Gonzalez and Carbajal.
And I think now Bam and Inoue
continue to hold the mantle. They hold. They bring it.
I think they're
solidifying. Drooling over that one.
They're the guys now where I said like Morales and Barrera was a set point. We're not looking. We're always going to look to 26. I think now with these guys, we're going to look at the bantamweights. We're going to look at 15. We're going to look at 18. We're going to look at 22 because in this era of the world being global and not just local.
Bantamweights that were explosive. Somebody that sometimes falls through the cracks. Nonito Donaire was unbelievable.
Yes. Love Donaire
for a while, man.
And still doing it. Getting a title fight again soon.
Yeah.
I think in like 2 weeks.
I guess so.
He's fighting another Jap.
Yeah.
Yep, another Japanese fighter.
Get out of here. World title?
World title.
Nonito. He's
still got it.
Still got it. Matt Borgerson, by the way, in the super chat. Always appreciate you, Matt. It's on the level of our Leonard versus Hearns. And I think that isn't an exaggerated comparison in ways of that class. And I think Nakatani is a scary monster too.
So we saying Nakatani Inoue is our Leonard.
The Japanese Leonard Hearns, Leonard Hearns were American, so it was people could relate to it here. But I think if you look in Japan, you're right. Have they ever had this kind of rivalry in boxing where it was a global iconic eyes on it, right?
Think of any. As a boxing fan, there have been some great Japanese boxers,
but in terms of a rivalry coming together to where Japanese, the entire world wanted to watch it.
It's also cool because we got both ends of the world. We have a Japanese fighter in Nakatani who trains here in the States, and we have a Japanese fighter in Inoue who trains in Japan. So you're getting that crossover, both Japanese, but
is that why Inoue is bigger in Japan? Maybe because
he's bigger in Japan for a lot of reasons, but I mean he's
trained in Japan.
Great amateur,
Nakatani's
already
big,
too, Asian Games champ. Yeah,
he's got more titles, more belts, been around longer.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's also that clash of styles. And my favorite fight ever in boxing history is Leonard Hearns 1. That's my favorite box because you saw everything: shoulder feints, boxing changes in strategy, speed, toughness, power punch, everything. was in that fight. The technique back and forth, the adjustments they had to make made that a great fight from start to finish. Chris, is it possible we see that kind of chess match in this fight where we see everything that both guys have? That's what we're hoping for.
Yeah, fingers crossed. If the boxing gods allow it to be, if we see these guys at their best level and put on their best performances, and we get we don't get a 2-round destruction, but we get an actual competitive fight, and we get to see what Nakatani has in that bag. And we know what Inoue brings. We know what Inoue does when he goes down. We know what Inoue, how he starts fights. How he ends fights. Nakatani, I think there's more question marks. Because especially after that last fight. But I do expect this to be a very intense shootout where neither one of these guys wants to back down, because Japanese fighters fight with a lot of pride. And there's a lot of pride on the line, even more so than I think some other kinds of matches. Not really, because you get Mexican versus Mexican. Guys you see that too. Nobody wants to back down. So I think that same warrior spirit is encompassed in the Japanese style. Both of these guys have that Japanese style. So I expect a tremendous amount of heart on display with the ultimate pride on the line.
Now, Nakatani, you believe better than he showed last time, still leaning Inoue, or are you thinking Nakatani?
I've always said, I don't think my mind has not changed. I favor Inoue, but if there's someone that can beat Inoue right now, it's Nakatani.
Same thing?
Yeah, I mean, I probably have gone to my head. I probably think Inoue too, but
it's hard to bet against Inoue.
It's I wouldn't bet fight though.
I love when you preface "I wouldn't bet." That's when you preface "I wouldn't bet," you're like, all right, just don't take my advice.
I don't. There's some
don't
fights,
hold me to no.
Some fights.
When I say that, don't
some
hold me
things
to,
I'm sure. Some things I'm sure of. Like Mario Barrios was going to lose to Ryan Garcia. I was sure of. But this,
did you bet on that?
Absolutely.
Did you win it?
No,
you
I bet the
didn't,
knockout.
because you bet him to get stopped.
There you go.
I got too greedy. What am I going to do? But I was happy the first minute though.
Yeah,
until I wasn't.
I got a super chat here. It says, just to support the channel. Love from Texas. Keep going, guys. We will.
Thanks,
We're going to
guys.
continue about some big news outside of the ring. Need a TV deal to get anywhere? Well, guess who has one? We'll discuss it right after this.
Saturday, March 21st, ProBox TV invades the NOS Event Center as Lester Martinez and Emmanuel Alim battle for the WBC World Super Middleweight title. Palmdale's Joshua Kevin Anton battles the Uzbeki Punisher. LA is in the house as Anthony Too Quick Cuba defends home turf against Brooklyn's Wesley Farrell, while Sam Contreras takes on Cesar Cantu.
Outside the ropes, we talk about the business of boxing. Boxing business right now booming. MVP Promotions signing a multi-fight deal with ESPN per Dan Rafael. Kickoff is April 17th at the Theater, Madison Square Garden in New York City. Yeah, other than Zuffa versus everybody, that's one line in boxing. The other one, Paulie, is the old guard and the new guard. It looks like the new guard is getting better at figuring out where to land. You always talk about the importance of having a TV deal, a spot for your fighters to fight. MVP, we thought it was going to be Top Rank getting on ESPN. MVP Promotion signing the deal, man. What's your original thought on that?
MVP, people forget, they're
Great
around
promoter.
too, and they're slowly building.
Yeah.
Everybody's focusing on the Matchroom versus Zuffa rivalry, and slow MVP sort of churning in their own lane, consistent and growing and putting together some big shows, putting together some good fights. And they've got Lucas Body about to match up for a world title against Schofield. They've sort of cornered the market with the women's division, and they're trying to make the best women's fights possible, and they have made some very good ones. And now with this TV deal, it's only looking better and better. And ESPN is a powerful network to do a deal with. So, you gotta again, say what you will about Jake the fighter, but Jake the promoter keeps making the right
We've
moves.
always given credit to Jake as a promoter.
He's taking the
on
right
this channel.
boxes, and this is yet another good. I don't even say low key power move. This is just a power move in general. While everybody's distracted the other way, looking at the other rivalry between promoters, these guys at MVP are building a foundational deck. There's a strong foundation to what they're building.
If you look at the old guard right now, you would say Matchroom is on the zone. You have Golden Boy, no deal right now. Top Rank, no deal right now. troubling times if you're Golden Boy or Top Rank in terms of where do you go? You have to have that outlet for your fighters. Chris, outmaneuvered a little bit. It looks like
PBC also one of the old guard
PBC,
major promotions out there. MVP is fastly approaching that. They're stepping into the big show. So I would say two things.
And they're going to be able to sign a lot of fighters now. Again,
they are signing
get that
tons
TV
of
deal. You're going to get more and more fighters.
So two things. One, love what MVP's doing. I've been loving what MVP's been doing since the very beginning. I think they've been very smart. They cornered the market with the female fighters. They've really made that something. But they've also been picking up a lot of good fighters from the Puerto Rican area and getting. They put on good cards too. They always put on good cards. Even when the level was lower in terms of who they were able to sign, they put on good cards. Where you see a Lucas Body upset knockout Sylph. You see these competitive matchups, and they're willing to put their guys in risky fights. Love all of that, and I love the way it's been building. I think they're getting super, super professional. I also love the fact that they are not all the big monsters are fighting around them. They're not picking any fights. They're just staying there in between, picking up things. Whoop, okay, whoop, you drop that. Whoop, okay, that fell out of your pocket. Got it. Okay, boom.
Not making controversial comments to get involved in the beefs.
As controversial as Jake is.
Yeah.
And with boxing, MVP has been all business.
That's the thing.
Super
As
smart.
a promoter, he's not controversial. As a promoter, he's all business.
All business.
He's the fighter and the character. It's almost like he's created this. He knows where to draw the line. He knows how to not cross that line. As a promoter, he's a super savvy
showing his
businessman,
intelligence.
and he's not creating beefs, and he's not talking, and he's not giving opinions. I'm sure people are going to ask him, but somehow he's stayed out of those kind of headlines. But on his own, he makes.
I feel like he's only
headlines.
said good things about the other promoters. I don't think he's ever spoke badly about.
Yeah.
So
It's
the thing
interesting.
about Jake
It's an
is,
interesting observation, and when you compare the beefs that are going on between Zuffa, Matchroom, Golden Boy, all this
for
stuff,
whatever
and
reason,
throwing-
guys like Eddie
throwing
and
salt
Dana
at each other.
can't compartmentalize it. But also, it helps them grow because they already are that big. Jake's not yet, or MVP is not that yet. So he's staying in his lane for the time being very, very smart and maneuvering. Very, very smart businessman. He's showing his level of intelligence is twofold. Now, the other thing I have to say about this, which this was the first thing I thought of, other than of course MVP making power moves, ESPN is still interested in boxing. They're just not interested in Top Rank apparently.
Yeah,
Because that was kind of the thing. Like ESPN, because remember the first headline? Yeah. ESPN's getting out of boxing. Their deal with Top Rank is over. We thought they were going to come together. Yeah. It's not. Then they make this deal. They're not out of boxing. They're just out of Top Rank for whatever reason. Whatever's gumming up the works with Top Rank doesn't have to do with ESPN's involvement or interest in boxing. Clearly. ESPN is still interested in boxing, which is a great sign for us as a sport.
Maybe they like women's boxing.
Maybe there's some kind of friction between
likes
Top
that.
Rank and ESPN.
ESPN's a little bit far left, I think.
I mean, every network is, but it's just
no. But maybe there's a bit of an extra interest because Jake has actually made women's boxing more interesting than it's ever been.
He's put on some fantastic fights in women's boxing.
But Baumgartner is the main event.
That's what I'm saying. It's actually worth investing in now.
Yeah.
But Top Rank has some women fighters too. They got Michaela Mayer, so she's one of the best female fighters in the world. Yeah, by a long shot.
But they don't have,
and she does big fights.
But they don't have the stable. And then Michaela got beat by Baumgartner, didn't she?
She did.
Yeah,
she did in a crossover fight with Matchroom and Top Rank. But also, boxing's. I mean, Top Rank's done well with the female fighters. They had Sinisha Estrada.
But Golden Boy had her first.
Yes, but then Top Rank got her all those title fights.
Yeah.
Top Rank is still Top Rank. So this is a good sign because ESPN has now carved out space for boxing, and which means that other promoters have the ability. Hey, Oscar can go talk to them now. Can talk to ESPN. Who's to say we can't get Golden Boy on there as well? Or Top Rank. If Top Rank can't close the deal, it's just a great thing that we have ESPN open to boxing. Is all I'm saying.
It certainly is, but the idea that they now, MVP Promotions, has an inside track that once belonged to Top Rank. Golden Boy was on DAZN. That lapse was one of the reasons that Virgil Ortiz felt he could break his contract. Of course, the judge said otherwise, but this idea that having that platform with all the platforms available, this is what kind of gets me personally when I think about it. With all the platforms available now with modern streaming, Golden Boy and Top Rank can't find a substantial partner in Amazon, Paramount, all the streaming services you have, can't find a partnership there? What's the complication?
Paramount was different though. I think Paramount wasn't so much open to boxing as it was they're already in bed with fight sports because of the UFC.
Yes.
And it's kind of like, well,
So also they were
we
a
got
show.
Zuffa
They had
now.
Showtime too, right? Showtime
Yeah,
was
so
originally
Paramount CBS, right?
they enveloped that, but then you brought on the TKO group, and like part of the TKO arm, part of the Zuffa arm is this boxing venture, right? Because you've got that whole WWE, UFC, and now you have boxing. So they got pulled in. Boxing got pulled into Paramount, whether Paramount wanted to deal with it or not. ESPN has always been a sports channel. It's always had boxing. So it was very strange, but it seemed like they weren't interested anymore. But yeah, to your point, Jimmy, it's like there are a lot of ways, but I've been thinking the Top Rank had a deal in place. We were going to hear about it out of nowhere. But it's been too long. It's been a really long time. So to not have a network partner at this point is quite odd.
Worrying too, because they've still been investing in their fighters, right?
Their fighters are still winning titles and defending their titles and fighting on other people's cards and going into dangerous territories, but still coming out on top because Top Rank is such a great star builder. But Golden Boy's lapse, which was his lapse in network deal, was very, very recent. So it hasn't been that long that he hasn't had a deal. So does he start looking at other ventures? Is he already talking to people? I'm sure he is. So that could be. We could find out before the show ends. We could find out that De La Hoya has struck a deal with either ESPN or DAZN or someone else down the line. I don't know. I just think the boxing's in a good place. The DAZN Matchroom 5-year deal is awesome. ESPN MVP together is awesome. Once Top Rank finds a deal, once De La Hoya finds a deal, because they will. They will. They have stables. They have good fighters. They put on good fights. They're good promoters. I don't know. Boxing's in a good place, and the competition that's coming with Zuffa coming in and the Paramount, I think is great too. If you love boxing, there's fights on all the time. There's competition between big promotions, and there's a lot of money going around. Fighters are getting paid. I mean, it's all good things.
One question we touched on it a little bit earlier in the show. Now we're going to get into specifics. Obviously, we know about war in Iran. How will that affect Turki Alalshikh, the boxing business in Saudi Arabia, in the Middle East? When I talk about specifics, Jazza Dickens expected to fly to Dublin on Saturday ahead of next week's Queenberry promotion show at 3 Arena. He has to leave Dubai because of missile strikes. He's concerned about his safety. Gentlemen, we don't know about as you said, above our pay grade, the actual economics of how this will affect the Saudi family, any of the money coming in from Turki Alalshikh and Riyadh season. The idea that some big fights were happening in Saudi Arabia, I don't think a lot of people would feel comfortable right now traveling to Saudi Arabia, but Saudi Arabian shows famously don't care much about the live gate. Not a lot of people there. It doesn't have to be the come-in spectacle. Chris, you have to pay fighters to come in. You'll put up a lot if there's enough money on the table. Chris, how do you think these whole travel restrictions might affect a big fight in Saudi Arabia? Will we see them elsewhere?
Not enough money for me to ride a missile.
Yeah.
So you move the fights. We don't need to have the fights there. We've been saying this for a long time. We don't necessarily love the atmosphere that is over there. So it kind of forces their hand to make the fights outside of that area until things cool down. It's not the worst thing. It's horrible what's happening, of course.
Yeah.
But in terms of boxing, which on the grand scale of everything that's going on is not that big of a deal, we go somewhere else, and that's okay. There's the UK is right there. They have great fans. You can put on big shows. You come to the stateside. We still want to go to fights in the States. We haven't had the opportunity. Maybe we have more fights happening on our soil. And it's a shame everything that's going on. It's a scary time, but it's not worth risking your life. The Dickens leaving. I understand it. I get it. It's just this unfortunate thing. War sucks.
I'm curious,
but they're invested in a ring anyway. So under the banner of ring, you can do fights anywhere you want anyway.
How many times have we seen a fight, and on the ring post is rowdy season.
Yeah,
all over the place. It's not necessarily
under the ring banner.
Thing.
You can still do shows. It wasn't exclusive to Saudi. I mean, obviously, Turkey probably wanted to prefer to do things in Saudi because he's there, but under that banner of ring, I mean, that's a global banner to begin with. So you can do shows. That's why I asked about Nakatani and Inoue. They're doing that fight too, right? They have involvement in that fight too.
Yeah, it's a ring fight.
So you can continue to do ring fights. You don't have to be in Saudi Arabia.
Yeah.
So I don't see it.
I don't think location matters as much as the brand.
I don't see it being affected. Yeah, the brand is important.
It's going to cost them more money, but it's the brand. I don't think it matters.
You can make more money too. You sell more tickets, no?
Yeah, I mean, if you can offset potentially, the price of moving, it makes things a lot more difficult logistically. Sure. Of course, that's just part of business.
What I'm curious about on maybe the MMA side is a lot of Eastern European fighters. A lot. and it isn't always easy getting in and out, right? This airspace is going to be difficult. A lot of the transit is through Dubai. It's through places like that.
You have to make camps over here.
Making camps over
the
here,
camps,
yeah.
The MMA camps, like you're gonna have Dagestani teams, growing up here, which is not a bad thing. Listen, when it comes to fight sports, we're the hub. Yeah. The U.S., America has been the hub for fight sports. Like Vegas used to be like, if you wanted to get international experience, you went to Vegas. Yeah. You had guys flying in all the time. If you wanted to get the best work possible sparring, get guys that you were going to come across as you went up the ladder, up the ranking, Vegas was it. And it's we call New York the Mecca of boxing, but in terms of Mecca of training, I always said it was Vegas. So we're going to get a lot more guys coming back over here, which. That's not the worst thing. Unfortunately, those guys are going to be upended because of what's going on. But if it comes and brings more fighters and fight teams over here, that's you got to look for some kind of silver lining.
An interesting thing in boxing history you have to get to. On this date, Muhammad Ali announced his retirement from boxing, of course, losing his final fight to Trevor Berbick. That was in the Bahamas. People weren't there and don't remember. Before that, of course, Larry Holmes stopped him. The only time Muhammad Ali had been stopped in the ring, the previous fight. Not so much about the legacy of Muhammad Ali, because we could talk about it all day. Everything he accomplished in boxing, when he meant to boxing, when he meant to so many people. The vacuum left by Muhammad Ali. Sugar Ray Leonard partly replaced that in the early 80s. He was almost like people went, oh, okay, Sugar Ray Leonard was articulate, good looking, had everything, had the style, had the flash, had the movement, had the Olympic gold medal. The heavyweight division, really, you could argue, didn't recover till at least Mike Tyson. Paulie, is that fair to you?
Yeah, I mean, the heavyweight division had Holmes.
Poor Larry Holmes, by the way. Poor Larry Holmes. One of the greatest of all time. I'm sorry.
Was he good? There was some fun fights there too.
Mm-hmm. Oh, great fights!
A couple of get up off the canvas situations there for him.
That shot from Ernie Shaver.
Ernie Shaver.
One of the most ridiculous.
I think Ronaldo Snipes hurt him as well. He was the
Ken Norton fight when he won the title was brutal.
Yeah, it was a little before that. Yeah, so Ali retired March 6th, 82?
81.
Yep. So that was, then he fought Berbick after or before?
No, he fought Berbick before that.
Or right before that. Okay.
Early 81 he fought Berbick.
81. So, yeah. I mean,
even I don't remember that. Thanks. Okay, go ahead.
I don't either. Right?
I was -3.
So
I was 3.
Yeah, I think the heavyweight division, it's funny because there was the iconic figure wasn't there, right? Holmes was an amazing fighter, but it didn't really pick up again until Tyson had this crazy mystique. But then again, Holmes gets sort of a bad rap. Holmes is an amazing fighter, but how do you follow that performance? It's like following Queen at Live Aid,
and you're pretty good, and
no matter who you are, you're screwed.
Doesn't make any difference.
Performance after the Ali career, whoever comes next is kind of screwed a little bit because there's no way to duplicate it.
When I tell people, Chris, that the greatest heavyweight of the 1980s was Larry Holmes, people look at me funny, and I go,
I bring up Larry in the discussion of best heavyweights of all time, who beats who, a lot, because he was very difficult to beat, and he beats a lot of the top guys that we've seen.
Got to 48-0.
In terms of Ali. He changed the archetype of what a heavyweight champion is.
Yes.
They became a mouthpiece. They became a personality. Because before him was Liston. Liston was the proverbial tough guy. He was a henchman.
Mobbed up.
Mobbed up henchman that you were scared of, didn't need to talk. And then you got Ali, who comes up and he's larger than life. And a bit of it he did take from Sugar Ray Robinson, because Sugar Ray Robinson was a very personable guy, good looking, cared about his hair, smiling all the time, wore nice suits, bought an entire city block, and had multiple businesses.
Purple Cadillac,
and he was that guy, right? And then Cassius Clay at the time saw that and was like, yeah, and he took his style a little bit and developed that into his own, and then became larger than life and so big. And you say he left a vacuum, but he was like a whirlpool, man, and it stayed even after he was gone, and it bled into the next generation. So you said Sugar Ray Leonard had a personality, had a good looks, he would smile, but he'd still go in there and kill you. Oscar De La Hoya, personality, style, smile, women love him, still go in there and kill you. So these guys, it created an archetype where boxing was able to transcend the sport, transcend the archetype of being just some tough guy. You could be a personality. You could be a star. Ali was a star, and he opened up the doors for future generations to go, I can be more than just this tough guy who can knock you out. I can talk, and I can move waves, and I can change politics, and I can change culture, and I can affect everything. It just shows you how big boxing, the potential of boxing, because listen, guys, I'm sorry, everybody at home, but in other sports, this is the best sport in the world. There's nothing like it. And Ali was able to make other people realize that as well. He knew it. He said it. He said a lot of things. He knew a lot of things that he didn't actualize yet, but he did, and it opened up the door for a lot of generations after that. And it's why boxing is as big as it is. That's why Stallone made Rocky. It's why we've been able to affect culture and still do. It's why we're here talking about it.
Something I was telling somebody comparatively recently about a fighter's drive and desire, how it's there's no other word. It's stupid. Fighters believe they can do things that they just can't do, and it's irrational, and
delusional.
It's delusional. It's this, it's that. You're never over, even when you know it's over. And I was talking to somebody about it, and I said, Ali the fighter killed Ali the commentator. He killed Ali the coach. He killed Ali the
mouthpiece in
the
general.
philosopher. All those guys could have been Ali after his career.
Mm-hmm.
But Ali the fighter killed all those guys
Mm-hmm.
because he hung on too long. We know about the brain damage. He wasn't able to speak and walk. And it's almost like that guy that'll take you here will kill all these. It's ravenous, and that's one of the tragedies I think of Muhammad Ali. Because God, he would have been great sitting here doing what we're doing. He would have been great.
Yeah.
Hey, what do you think about this fight and breaking it down? And he had that IQ and he had that gift of gab and he had that ability. But that guy by 1982 was gone. And I remember him in 83 and 82 and doing interviews and not being there. And it wasn't much later on. It was pretty much, we never got to see him.
He was damaged while he was still fighting.
He was damaged while he was fighting.
Yeah.
But the idea that part of you costs all these other parts of you. Because to be great, you need that. Chris, what's your thoughts on that? Because I think people don't think about, I do think about Ali the fighter and all those things, but I think about what we lost because Ali the fighter just wanted more than he should have. In terms of after the third Frazier fight, multiple people have told me that should have been it. It should have been third Frazier fight. He still could have had a decent life in retirement after that. He went on those punchers he faced after that, facing Ernest Shavel's Ron Lyle. Like, are you what?
Yeah, Jimmy Young.
It's insane. Jimmy Young outboxed him like crazy.
Was
Like
the third Norton fight after that too?
yeah, third one was. But you know what I mean? Like if he had called it after Frazier, maybe
Jimmy,
he has a decent life.
it's why I'm sitting here and I'm not fighting.
Yeah.
It's 100% why I'm not fighting. I could have still fought. I'm in great shape right now. I could fight right now. There's a lot of money to be made. I don't want to have to go to where I had to be that guy anymore. And I don't also want to end up losing this opportunity to be able to do this because I love doing this.
Right.
And the only thing I love doing this more than this is fighting. The only thing I love more than calling fights is actually fighting. But to be that guy, I don't know, Paul, you're a special case because you can continue to fight.
I don't spar though. I don't spar.
Yeah, but you still got to be able to. You got to go in there and fight.
On fight night.
I need to go to dark places. I had to live in dark places. I had to be. You talked to my family about
But
me during camp.
I had to
was
do
not
that
a
too.
nice
But you
person.
learn as you get older, you learn to compartmentalize.
In my mind, I wasn't in jail because I couldn't afford to go to camp when I was a kid. But I was in jail in my mind. And
Yeah, but that's
everyone
how
else
we
has to
all
deal
when
with
we were
it.
young. We learn to compartmentalize it better
Yeah, but
and
I wouldn't
focus.
be. I'm
when
not
you
good
were
if I
older.
don't do that.
Yeah, but you say that, but there's this different kind of discipline your mind takes when you get a little older. You learn how to compartmentalize it better too. I wasn't like that either. I wouldn't have ever thought I could train like this before. Without sparring, I can get myself there. I can put myself in different positions.
Was it Tank who said, "I don't want to get fixed because I won't be able to fight anymore"?
Yeah, he said.
Like I don't want to be happy and comfortable.
Well, I
and,
said that about Wilder doing the ayahuasca.
Happiness is the enemy.
Yeah,
Nicky Lauda.
Yeah, when
Niki
Wilder
Lauda,
did the
great
ayahuasca,
movie.
I was like, "Oh, that's not a good move. That's something a fighter should do because it opens up your empathy pathways and things like that. And it's just like that's not you don't want that. Empathy is the enemy of a fighter. You got to go in there and you got to be able to kill. And so that's why we talk about guys when they get a little softer when they have kids and the family gets involved and then you start thinking about different things. If you are thinking about dying, your mortality comes into play. Ali never thought about that. No, he fought to the end. He fought no matter what. Some guys are just fighters. You look at guys like Manny Pacquiao. Manny Pacquiao, he's not shutting that off. He's a warrior. That guy just fights. Floyd, to a degree, he fights. He's smart, but he fights. Yeah, and that's a really great point, Jimmy. The fighter killed Ali's retirement opportunities.
All those beautiful things he could have been,
Yeah.
which sucks. Did you guys ever get a chance to meet him?
I met him once.
I met him
once. Yeah.
He was I was a valet at the Regent Beverly Wilshire Hotel in Beverly Hills, and all these famous people would come and stuff. And there was a boxing charity event thing. I met Lennox Lewis. I met Sugar Ray Leonard. Hagler was there. A bunch of luminaries, and Ali was there. And oh my God, different story. I'll tell you guys in a second. But one of the security guys was in the elevator with him and was like, Mr. Ali, I just want to tell you, it's an honor to meet you. And Ali started started jabbing. He's like, oh, and he's like, yeah, we started moving around because it was like the greatest moment of his life because Ali he couldn't talk anymore, but he could still move.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a story of, I don't know if you guys know about this, where a Golden Glove, there was a Golden Glove champion from Louisville, and he was like 13, 14. And, so obviously, Ali's from Louisville, so they were going to do a thing where they were going to move around the ring together. And this 14-year-old kid is warming up, and they start realizing he doesn't really get who Ali is. He doesn't get, like, dude, just move around with the guy, don't hit him, whatever. And Ali, he goes, my boxing coach was there, and he said Ali got in the ring, was shaking, and, all this stuff turned to the crowd, and this 14-year-old kid gets out there, and they go, ready, go, and the kid unloaded. He goes, Jimmy, he hit nothing.
Oh,
Ali
wow.
could still,
Yeah.
it's a different part of your brain. And he just went, whoop, whoop, and he goes, this kid's swinging, and Ali's on the ropes, rope-a-dope, and he goes, the kid hit nothing.
They said that about him during
that he could still
during the Larry camp though. So
Yeah.
Larry, when he was just living everyday life, you could see he was compromised. But as soon as he got on the speed bag or sparring or jumping rope, it all because a lot of times it's
Muscle
Parkinson's.
memory.
Parkinson's is you lose motor control. But when you've
you're
grooved that
active.
motion,
Yeah.
when you've grooved that motion for so long in your entire life,
The
and you fall
activity.
back into that, those neural pathways are still there. They're sharp. It's so. It's not like a new movement. It's a movement that your body's used to, and you're able to just kind of go through it because your body knows it so well. That's why that's what second nature is. That quote unquote second nature. It's like second nature. Yeah, you've done it so much. You've repeated it so many times, and that's how boxing has to be. You can't have thinking's too slow. You have to just be able to react.
Yeah, it's got to be natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that ability, it's just strange how the human brain works and what was left and what wasn't of Muhammad Ali. But retired this date, 1981. Speaking of fights coming up, before we go, we got to talk about it. Our card, we're going to call it From Here. It's from Baja, Mexico. It's going to be outstanding. Saturday, I believe it's 9 o'clock we're starting. But
9 p.m.
Josiel Amador, 13-0-1. By the way, all of his wins by knockout. Taking on Pedro Delgado. We'll talk about it right after this. Stay with us.
On Friday, March 13th, ProBox TV returns to Kissimmee, Florida for another action-packed contender series. In the 10-round main event, ProBox TV alumnus and fast-rising world-ranked light heavyweight Najee Lopez takes another stern test against Mexican top contender Manuel Gallegos. Up-and-coming Dominic Valle will take on battle-hardened veteran Eduardo Ramirez of Mexico.
Talking about our card Saturday from Mexico, not a contender series event. We're picking this one up from Mexico. As I said, Josiel Amador, 13-0-1, all of his wins by knockout. His opponent, Pedro Delgado, 17-1-1, 10 wins by knockout. One of the things we get to do, and I'll be totally honest, I'm pull back the curtain a little bit. We called a fight from Ireland. We called one from the UK. We called a few fights. They're not ours. We're not putting them on. They're not contender series fights. I get to learn about these guys just like the fans do because you are 11-1 versus 10-1-2. That's interesting, and we kind of get to sit there as fans. We do our research, we do our prep, but we're not intimate like ProBox. We know our fighters, we know what they're bringing. I love calling these kind of cards. He's like, all right, this card from Mexico, man, let's check it out, and we get to kind of like follow along with the fans in a sense. Yeah.
And to piggyback off that point, Jimmy, like. We only go to places where we know the fights are going to be good. Belfast.
Ireland.
It was not a bad fight on the card.
Yeah.
We had two local guys with banged up records who went to absolute war. And
Amazing fight.
And the crowd was basically going to go into battle over these two. And then when they were done, everybody was cool and had fun and going out of a beer. Now we're going to Mexico. It's going to be the same thing. And if you look, if nothing else, if you just look at the records of these guys, it's a lot of undefeated guys, a lot of knockouts. You got 17-1-1, you got 13-0, you got 10-0, they all got 8 knockouts. Not gonna say, So and also look at where they're from: Chihuahua, Sinaloa, Tijuana. These are guaranteed bangers. All of these fights are good. These guys are all going to fight. And just like I was saying earlier about Nakatani Inoue, in terms of their having a little bit of a blood feud because they're Japanese warrior spirit. Mexico. That was the other example I used. So we got a bunch of Mexican guys fighting in Mexico from different towns, warring towns. It's can't miss. So if you guys are just looking for some good fights with some people you probably haven't heard of, local ProBox guys, check us out.
That's the live boxing content we bring you here on ProBox TV.
Yeah.
You know, we're always trying to get access to not only our own fights with the Contender Series and Future Stars, but also now we're trying to grab access to other fights and other fight cards, and just boxing content to fight fans is priceless. Anytime they can watch a live show, they boxing fans will just gravitate to it and watch. So if we can sort of become a network where there's a lot more live boxing like we're trying to do, people will always gravitate more to it because people will always appreciate a live show. And of course, we do have a certain standard we've upheld. So let's see. Even if these aren't technically our shows, we're still attempting to put on some good fights.
We've done Argentina, we've done Mexico, we've done Ireland. And somewhere out there, there's some 9-year-old, 10-year-old, 11-year-old kid who was just like me, who would watch anything that was boxing related. Anything that was boxing. If there was ProBox TV when I was a kid, remember Fight News? That was my homepage when I was in grade school. Like that was my homepage because I wanted to know, because they on the right end they had a ticker of all the TV fights. Yeah. So I always knew what I could watch. And my grandfather was a huge boxing fan. My grandfather Tito from Argentina. So we had HBO, we had Showtime, we had all the movie channels because of boxing. That was why we had the movie channel. So I was able to watch everything when I was a kid, whether it was an ESPN, and they had a little ticker, and it would be, Arturo Gatti versus Wilson Rodriguez on HBO, and it would be, Mickey Ward versus Emmanuel Augustus on ESPN, and it was these different names. So when I was a kid, I would take all of that up. So now ProBox TV, we have all that as well, and we have Boxing Scene Today, and we get to have all this information. If I was a 9 or 10-year-old out there who loved the sport the way that I did, this would be my homepage now, and we'd be watching fights, and I'd watch guys from all over the world, whether I can pronounce their name or not.
And this month, we're on every weekend, mind you.
Man,
Literally.
March Madness. We are on every single weekend. When I was doing Fight Quest and I was boxing in Mexico City, I was with Nacho Beristain.
Yes.
Juan Manuel Marquez was there. And Vicente Escobedo, I know, a guy you knew from the amateurs. He was there coaching with me.
Very good.
And great fighter.
Vicente beat me in the amateur.
Yeah, I know. Good dude. I like Vicente.
Yeah, I like Vicente.
Anyway, so...
You didn't like him then, but yeah.
Yeah.
Nah, I mean,
I fought a Mexican champion.
That damn computer system.
I know, totally, right? In the final fight, I fought this Mexican champion, and it was behind a market in Mexico City. And I go out there, and it's full of people. It was empty. And then, it's full of, they're waving flags, they're booing me, they're cheering. And I went, where'd they get all these people? The producer literally opened the door and went, who wants to see boxing for free? And, dude, kids were there with their food, and they're screaming. It was packed. And I went, we got
to be that.
Yeah,
it was boxing. We want to bring you live fights.
But my point is, who wants to see free boxing? In Mexico was like room, and it filled up like and they had flags, they were waving it, and they knew it was American. All they said was American guy versus a Mexican dude, and
Gringo versus Mexican.
Gringo versus Mexican, and it was that energy was awesome. It was awesome, and I went to a fight when I was there with all the guys from the gym. We just walked to a fight. I'm telling you, Paulie, when you talk about 11-6 trying to kill you, those were like these records. I was like, this guy's 11-6, and fights like you stole something from him. Yeah. And I was like, this, and he goes, it's like this every single weekend. It just this is Mexico City, bro. I don't know what to tell you. That energy is irreplaceable, Paul.
Yeah, it's like random street fights. It just
but with technique, these guys can bang.
What I'm saying is, when it's unexpected, it's always more exciting. The guy opens the curtain and say, "Yo, we have fights." Okay, it's I don't know, something about an unexpected fight is exciting.
But also, just fights. I used to watch Tough Man. I love World Championship Boxing. I watched HBO Boxing After Dark. I watched Championship Boxing. We would order pay-per-views.
What do they call Rough and Rowdy?
I'd still watch Tough Man. It's boxing. It's fighting. It's visceral. It's in our blood.
But watching
and certain cultures are different.
But there's also an attraction to that. It's like a train wreck. Watching guys who. And not saying this was in Mexico, obviously. In Mexico,
they can fight. Yeah.
But speaking of Tough Man, watching tough guys. I got to preface. Tough guys who don't know how to fight can be entertaining. They're going to dig in. They're going to fight. It's not like they're not tough guys, so they're going to fight. But they can't fight, so there's a lot of contact. These guys are getting hit.
Guys get knocked out of nowhere.
Guys are getting knocked out of nowhere. You see more of that action. It's it's like high scoring. It's like a high scoring any other sport compared it to something high scoring. Anytime it's high scoring, it's exciting.
Well, it's street basketball as opposed to the NBA. It's street ball where elbows are throwing, they're running into each other. Street ball.
Not a lot of defense.
There's no defense. Nobody's calling any plays, right? It's a different kind of thing.
Nobody runs back on defense either, right?
But think about defense is hard to learn. It's hard to teach. It's hard to learn. Defense and footwork are the two hardest things to learn in boxing. So Learning how to punch is actually pretty easy. It doesn't take that long. You can become a pretty good puncher in a short amount of time. So if
some people can naturally do it.
Yeah,
so
some
you're
people
like,
just naturally do it.
hit.
Yeah. So you can get guys to fight, and offense is going to be there. Not the defense, but that makes it entertaining.
The concept that I was in Nacho Bernstein's gym. I was talking to some guy. He had a fight the next week, and we were talking about whatever we were talking about. And I said about his fight, and he goes, "Yeah, man, if I don't win, I don't eat anything." Oof. And I remember thinking,
it's motivation.
How do you beat that guy? How do you beat somebody who's like, no, I live in the ghetto behind this gym? And
I mean, you can just beat him on points too.
No, but I mean,
be better.
He's not going to stop.
He's not going to stop.
Yeah.
He's not going to quit. Did you see the interview? I think it was with Joe Rogan. Mike Tyson was talking about his kid wanted to box. Did you hear about this?
Yeah.
Joe Rogan's kid?
No, Mike Tyson's kid.
Yeah.
Oh.
And he goes, you went to private school. You're going to send there against an animal like me? Like an animal like I was at 18? I'll kill you. I'll cut your heart out right there on the mat. I'm like, yeah, it's different. And in Mexico, and when I was in Mexico City, that attitude of like you said, Chris, you have to kill me right here. You have to be, what do you think? Body shot's going to drop me? You think I'm going to care? I'm going to be blind in both eyes? It's not going to matter.
You think I'm going to stay down?
Think I'm going to stay down?
Yeah, I get that whole conversation. It makes for nice movies. It makes for nice stories, but it's the whole Skinner and Freud thing again. Barrero was a lawyer. He's not missing any meals anymore. He made a good career. That guy's still missing meals, obviously. So that guy missing meals and him not eating if he doesn't win, obviously didn't get him to where Barrero went. Barrero came from a lawyer background. So there's
incredible fighter.
There's also the Skinner Freud comparison as far as you can just be disciplined and be repetition of discipline as opposed to having had to come back from
Skinner, by the way.
having had to been going through near-death experiences and missing meals and all that stuff. It helps, I think, in some ways. If
the
you know
combination of the discipline and the
how to channel
motivation.
But you still need the discipline. And the discipline can come from different facets. It can come from motivation or it can come from discipline in of itself.
Dude, I'm sitting right here. I went to college. I have a master's degree. I have 2 degrees. I don't need to fight. I wanted to fight. I did 2 different combat sports. Both very, very dangerous. I have 49 professional fights.
There's several guys like that. Vladimir Klitschko, right?
Vladimir Klitschko is a doctorate. Yeah, I think they both do. They both have PhDs.
I mean, Vitaly's the mayor of Kiev now, right? So there's, and listen, I'm not saying it doesn't help, but you can certainly helps you.
Juan Diaz, your former opponent was an educated man.
So again, I'll repeat it. It's the B.F. Skinner and Sigmund Freud comparison. Which psychology will work for you? I think either or can work for you if you know how to channel it into discipline.
Also, before we go,
you gotta have balls too, though. Because if you don't have to fight, there's a lot of reasons not to.
Again, discipline.
And you can find out during a fight that you don't want to be there.
Well, again, but that's part of discipline. Now you got to have balls. The bell rings, you got to have balls. That's part of discipline.
When everybody says, oh, this fighter's scared, I was like, if you're scared, you wouldn't get to this level.
Right.
You would have weeded yourself out at some other point rather than
I think there's a healthy fear.
Yeah, no, but
this
guy doesn't want to fight this guy because he's scared. I'm like, no, he wouldn't be here.
The difference is if you have a fear of getting hurt, you're not going to make it. If you have a fear of failure, you can make it.
Yeah.
There has to be a fear somewhere. It's just which fear you have. If you have a fear of getting hurt, it's harder to make it. Fear of failure, you know what? Now you'll push
fear of being embarrassed, fear of failure. That can be a really strong driver.
Fear, I think, has a place. It's just you have to know which kind of fear it is, and like Frankie Fear in Rocky V, it's either going to consume you or you're going to consume your opponent, right?
Terry Bradshaw once said it. Of course, the man won 4 Super Bowls for my Pittsburgh Steelers. He stepped on the field and goes, "Man, look at all this. Oh my God, imagine what's like to lose one of these." And he never did because that fear kept him going. But join us. That's right. Saturday at 9 o'clock. Join us right here. ProBox TV fights from Mexico. Be calm and remote alongside the champs, Chris Algieri, Paulie Malignaggi. I'll see you tomorrow right here. ProBox TV.
Joe Montana.
Saturday, March 21st, ProBox TV invades the NOS Event Center as Lester Martinez and Emmanuel Alim battle for the WBC World Super Middleweight title. Palmdale's Joshua Kevin Anton battles the Uzbeki Punisher. LA is in the house as Anthony Too Quick Cuba defends home turf against Brooklyn's Wesley Farrell, while Sam Contreras takes on Cesar Cantu.